Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs for caring for your home. Out. Indecision, overthinking, second-guessing every choice you make. In. Plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out. Beige on beige on beige. In. Knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week, in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, a brutal tragedy occurs, and it's either a random act or Thanksgiving dinner gone very wrong. But things get even weirder when everyone realizes that this house has a history of this exact same thing. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us once again on another crazy, insane edition of Small Town Murder. And it is, if you're listening when it comes out, it's Thanksgiving.
It is.
Happy Thanksgiving. If you're not listening from the U.S., this happy Thursday. It means nothing. Or happy Friday if you're in some parts of the world. So either way, thank you for joining us. Crazy episode today. Happens, it's got a little Thanksgiving theme to it as well. And it's one of those episodes where you keep peeling the onion and it gets weirder and weirder and weirder. So I'm very excited. Quickly, before we get into that, thank you for your reviews this week. They help a lot. If you haven't done it yet, please give 5 stars on whatever app you're listening on. I don't know what the hell you're listening on. People listen on a multitude of things. They do help a lot. They help drive us up the charts. So thank you. Head to shutupandgivememurder.com right now. Get your tickets for the tour. We've been having a blast on the road. Did Tempe last weekend, 2 shows there. That was a lot of fun. We have Brooklyn coming up. I think there's a couple of tickets left in Brooklyn, right?
Is there? I think maybe.
It's possible. There's none left in Boston. That's been sold out. But and Seattle, the first show, the Thursday show, I think there's some tickets. Couple might have opened up for the Friday show. I'm not sure. Get those right now. shutupandgivememurder.com. We are very excited to be out there. Patreon this week is so good. Oh, it's so good. Patreon.com/crime and sports. As usual, anybody $5 or above, you get access to the whole everything that we got for you, basically. Anything that we put out, both shows, Patreon episodes, Crime and Sports, and Small Town Murder. This week's episodes, of which you'll get both, once again. Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about weird sports superstitions. This is going to just be a fun comedy show of making fun of people's weird things that they do before games and all sorts of... It goes back since, the Greeks and the Olympics. People have had weird superstition. So this is going to go back hundreds of years, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get into that. And for Small Town Murder, something way less fun, but way weirder. We're going to talk about the NXIVM cult.
Yes,
and I've done untold research on this. I've been researching this for months to do a bonus episode like a moron. So this will be a lot of fun. NXIVM is where Jim Jones meets LuLaRoe. Essentially is what it is. It's where cult meets multi-level marketing in some weird Scientology hinter world. It's so strange. So check it out. Can't wait to tell you all about it. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you'll get a shout out, of course.
Oh, yes.
Of course, because we appreciate everything that you do. So Jimmie will mispronounce your name to show our appreciation. And if you just want to make a donation and get that shout out, you can do that at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. That said, it's disclaimer time.
It is.
Got to have a disclaimer. This is a comedy show. It's a comedy show. We're comedians. We're going to make jokes. Also, death will happen.
Yes.
Most of the time, it's pretty horrific, too.
Yes.
But the thing is, there's a way to navigate around that and still have it be hilarious. That is, the one part that's not funny is the actual murder. We go out of our way to not make fun of the victims or the victims' families.
Why?
Because we're assholes.
Yeah.
Well, we're not scumbags.
There
That's
you go.
how that works. There's plenty to make fun of around a murder.
Sure.
How about stupid murderers trying to get away with murder? That's interesting. How about if some police force lets some murderer go free for years because they overlook something? That's pretty funny. We can make fun of idiots like that, like we had in the last couple weeks, as a matter of fact. So plenty to make fun of. Either way, I think it's going to be a good time. If you think that true crime and comedy should never go together, maybe you won't like it, but you might. But either way, don't complain about it later. Instead, sit back, clear the lungs, and shout, "Shut up and give me murder." Let's do this, Jimmie.
Put this turkey leg in your mouth.
Let's go on a trip, shall we?
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's go. We're coming. We were in West Virginia last week, of course, celebrating World Dingus Day, obviously. If you didn't listen to last week, man, you missed, first of all, a really horrific murder, an absolutely horrible, just when people get together, it's a real weird mob, mentality that people get. Even when it's only 3 or more, you can just get a weird mob mentality, and it's really creepy. But the characters involved in this story were like a Coen Brothers movie. Like, they were ridiculous. The dinguses, it was like Raising Arizona, this whole thing. It was like, what the hell is happening here? It was insane. So check that out. This week, going to go all the way back to the Northeast.
Oh, boy.
Like, a lot of people go back to the Northeast for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The airports are all packed. Everybody's flying from wherever they've moved back to their parents' houses.
Sure.
We're going to go there, too. We're going to Fair Lawn, New Jersey.
Oh.
Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It really sounds like a cemetery.
I think there is Fair Lawn Cemetery. That would make sense.
There is.
It has to be, or like a Little League field or something. Go there. So this is in northeastern New Jersey. This is a suburb of New York City.
Oh.
Basically, it's 35 minutes to New York City, and that's
it's right there.
And that's in traffic. So I mean, it's distance-wise, not very far at all. It's about an hour and 40 down to Philadelphia. Okay. It's like an hour from my house, Jimmie. You could get there very quickly. About 30 minutes to our last New Jersey episode, Hanover Township, New Jersey, way back in January of 2021 here, episode 205. So it's been a while since we've hit up the interesting state of New Jersey. It's so funny, and I always say this about New Jersey, and New Jersey people are good-humored. They take it on the chin.
They do, yeah.
They're like Florida people in that respect. Like, Florida people, for the most part, understand that you're going to mock Florida, and they get it, and it's fine. They're okay with it.
But the difference between Florida and Jersey is, like, the people that take it in Florida, they're just like the good ones. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're the people that aren't participating in that shit. The people that get offended are the ones that will do that shit. In Jersey, even the people that do the shit are like, I know, isn't it ridiculous?
Well, you have to tell the truth. If you say true things, they're like, oh, you got a point. I can't argue with you about that. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
So, in Florida, it's like they're like, there's no gators here. What are you talking about?
They're everywhere. You have things designed specifically in your house to keep them away from your porches. What are you talking about?
Why are you so offended?
So, Jersey, when you drive, like, let's say you're going to Newark and you're on the thruway there, you'll go and there's like mountains, and as soon as the hills end and it gets totally flat, welcome to New Jersey. It's like they said, well, to right where we don't want this after these hills, that's New Jersey. Enjoy. Like, it's what it feels like.
That seems like a pain in the ass to pave. We'll just take this flat shit.
That's it. No, we don't want this flat shit. That's all going to flood. It's like marshland. You guys take that. We'll take the hills and the trees and everything.
Jersey is hills?
Enjoy. No, New York is. New York gave them the crappy
that's
stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. He said Jersey wanted it. I'm saying they had no choice but to take it.
No, I'm saying. I got it.
Yeah. So
it's not that it's easier to maintain. It's that New York refuses to deal with it.
Yeah. Like, we don't want your marshy shit. You have it. And that's obviously coming from biased New Yorker or New Jersey person might see it the other way. We don't feel like walking up those hills, thank you. So Bergen County, it's in area code 201. It's about 5.2 miles, not a huge city.
Okay.
The motto here is as basic as can be. They got it off a Hallmark card or like an they went to go look for an advertising firm, a PR firm, to like help them with a motto, and this was on their like front of, just on their front webpage, and they were like, we'll just take that, we don't need to pay them.
It's like the font that you just choose
from.
We'll take all the words.
It's the picture in the frame that you bought. Is what it is. A great place to visit and a better place to live. That's exactly
good sample. We'll take
what that is. So history of this town. First settlers here were members of the Lenni Lenape tribe. That's every time I say that, I don't know if I'm saying it right. They were a peaceful tribe. They were hunters and gatherers, and this land they actually sold. So there wasn't any fighting over it. Apparently, it was actually a sold. They sold it to the Dutch and Irish settlers, and that tribe migrated to Pennsylvania after that. This. They made this into a bunch of farm lots, this area, and then it basically had two main roads through all these farm lots, and that was it. And then they named it Sluterdam.
Gross.
Which sounds really gross. It sounds like some sort of discharge. Yeah, it's disgusting. Either way, but either one of those works, disgustingly enough. We both thought of something along the same lines, though.
It goes in about genitals or reproduction.
Yeah, it's going in somebody, and then it's kind of weird. So it's.
I'd get her pregnant, but she's got that goddamn Sluterdam.
You know how it is. She stuck it up in there, and.
Keeping my sluter out of there.
Keeping all my sloot in and away. I'm wearing a condom so my sloot don't get everywhere.
Right.
So it's after a V-shaped sluice-like shipping weir built. I don't know what the fuck that means, in the Passaic River, I guess, by the Indians. So they made it's named after something. So there. Name stuck until 1791 when no one would move there because it's gross.
Yeah.
People were disgusted. So at that point, they broke the place into smaller lots. They put new roads in and shit like that. They built a bunch of houses. There was 80 houses built by 1861, and they renamed it Small Lots because they made bigger lots, small lots. They're not good at naming things here.
Like the small store of a discount furniture store? You know,
small lot.
Lots?
Yeah, it's we get the shit. Big lots won't sell no more. Small lots.
Even cheaper.
Even cheaper because we take it out of their dumpster. So, shit we found in Big Lots dumpster. That's in the parentheses under small lots. It was part of Saddle River Township. There's a bunch of vegetable farms and fruit farms and dairy interests. This was an agricultural community. And then they started building some bigger homes because some, kind of farm owners were there. Sure. So they wanted to have big homes and all this sort of shit. So, that's how it went. And then eventually it turned into Fairlawn, which was, I believe, a real estate. It was somebody's estate. He called it Fairlawn. And then they just said, that's a great name. Let's just name the whole town after the nicest house. Why don't we?
That is hilarious. Where is Bubble Hill located, James? Because I want that whole town named Bubble Hill from now on.
Why not? Just the nicest house in town and name it after that.
Wherever Neverland Ranch is, call that town Neverland Ranch.
This is the most New Jersey thing ever, okay. That I'm going to say. This is the most, I'll say, New York, New Jersey. This is just Massachusetts, the general Northeast, Connecticut, tri-state area type of shit that would happen here. Okay, in 1982, a New Jersey transit train, so right away, we're in the Northeast, crashed into a pasta factory. What's more New Jersey than that?
Yeah.
Killing the train's engineer. Now, what caused this train in New Jersey to derail into a pasta factory?
Did somebody olive oil the tracks, James?
A bunch of hooligan teenagers. That's what it was.
What'd they do?
Dipshit teenagers tampered with the tracks.
They did it.
They did. That's the most ne'er-do-well teenagers fucking up a track so they crash into a pasta factory and there's just fucking rigatoni everywhere. This is a problem.
Was it butter or olive oil do you think they used?
Oh, no, there's a farfalle all over the place. So what are we going to do? It's so bad.
They just poured Bertolli all over the tracks.
Is insanity. I read that. I'm like, that can't be true. I had to find like 5 sources before I believe that shit. Like literally, I would not believe it. It's actually real.
They saw it in a Bugs Bunny cartoon and tried it, and it worked.
This is some Wile E. Coyote shit, except Italian style. That's what it is. So the
they
train
just put like rolls of quarters on the tracks.
Either way, they did something. Who knows? Maybe it was a tied up woman. I'm not sure. Old time. They went old timey with it.
It was a barrel of TNT, Jay.
Possibly with Acme written on the side of it. So it ran off the end of an industrial rail siding, and the lead car traveled 60 feet into the building.
Holy shit!
With the fucking engineer in it. So the engineer, his final act was to soar through the air in the lead car of a train and crash into pasta, which is the most... I'm sorry. I feel bad for the man's family. I really do. I apologize for all that, and we try not to make fun of anyone who died, but holy shit, is that the most... That's like a fucking ride. That's crazy. And you land in pasta? If he would have just landed in a vat of like still, cooking pasta, he probably would have survived. It would have just been real, they would have made that noise as he got out, and that's all that would have happened.
If there's ever a theme park for Chef Boyardee, that sounds like the ending of the train ride. Whatever every theme park's got a train ride.
It's the 18th hole of the mini golf course for sure. So, 2 of these youths here were also seriously injured. A 14-year-old boy who was nearby. 2 of the 5 children, teenagers, were charged and convicted of manslaughter for their roles in the incident and given 5-year sentences in the state pen. So,
holy shit.
I mean, they killed a man, for Christ's sake. This place has been traditionally very center of Jewish culture. Really? Apparently here. A lot of Russian Jews came here, Orthodox Jewish people in here a lot. Right. Also, shitload of Italian people historically. Yeah. In 2000, it was 20% of the population was Italian, which is that's a lot. We're like 5.5% of the population, so 20 is very much. Yeah. But that's been decreasing a lot anyway. So
as they move to the shore,
as they move to those people, none of them are Italian. Jimmie, please, Jesus Christ,
wait, what?
No. None of the people on Jersey Shore are really fucking Italian.
Are you
None
sure
of them
about
are.
That?
No, like 2 of them are half Italian or something, but most of them aren't. They just act like fucking Guidos because that's funny. Fuck them.
And fun.
So anyway, the reviews of this town, the New York Times gave it probably the best review. Yeah. In an article about it, the title of the article is, quote, Fairlawn, New Jersey, an unpretentious place that smells like cookies.
Yeah.
Is that real? That's swear to God. I got that right off the New York Times. That's about as good a review as you can get.
Sure is.
Not pretentious, and it actually just smells like cookies around here. Who the fuck doesn't want to go there?
Disneyland genuinely pipes in the smell of cookies. They try to make it smell like fucking snickerdoodles. I don't know.
Yeah.
They pipe in the smell of cinnamon and sugar to make it feel like you're smelling cookies.
This place, it's natural.
It's just there.
So, 5 stars here. Mm-hmm. I came to Fair Lawn in middle school and just graduated from Fair Lawn High School. I have lived in many towns before, and this one has been my favorite. There is plenty in town and in surrounding towns. There is so much that I love about this place. There's also so much, and everything is so close.
Okay.
There is also so much. There's just a lot of much.
So much.
So much. Here's a long one. I'll give a piece of it here. 4 stars. Fair Lawn is a solid middle-class town that punches above its weight. A great bang for your tax buck and completely unpretentious, while delivering an overall high-quality experience. The schools are excellent. There are many town services. The population is diverse, and it is family-friendly and very safe. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Not bad. So they like this place.
That's fascinating because Jersey is the second highest taxes in the country.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot. He's saying bang for your buck, though, because there's a lot of services and good schools. That's the other thing.
What's left of your paycheck, we take care of you.
Well, that's the thing. If you look at also schools, look at where they are and look at where Arizona schools are. 49th and fucking 4th.
No, I'm not talking about Arizona at all. I'm just saying this guy is referencing.
Trust me, because my kids go to school.
It's a high tax bracket.
It is.
It's crazy.
If you've been there too, the roads are nice and there's actual services. Yeah.
Is Hawaii nothing? Because that is the lowest taxes in the country. Did you know that?
I have no idea what but everything there costs a lot. So
that's true.
One way or another, you're going to pay. That's the thing.
They're getting your money no matter what. So what's the
paying.
fucking big deal, right?
Yeah, you're going to pay. Like no place is just free to live.
Right.
The places that have no income taxes, they have other kind of taxes, and
it's nuts.
They'll get you. Don't worry.
For sure.
You'll get got. So. 2 stars here. I lived in Fair Lawn for 14 years and have 3 children who started in the school system. We recently moved out of town mostly due to the taxes, crime, and overdevelopment. Okay. It stopped feeling like a small town.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, they don't like that. 2 stars for this one. The homes and taxes are overpriced. See, I'm giving a balance here. The schools are better than average. The people, locals who grew up here and stayed here, are awful. More, that's not their... Straightforward.
Yeah.
More cliquish than their teenage children. Ethnic and religious groups are exclusionary and prevalent.
Okay.
That's kind of just how it goes. So people in this town, 32,877 right now. More females than males. It's kind of out of whack in that way, a little bit as far as compared to the average. A lot of people 45 years old to 54 years old and a lot of kids. So... Okay. People who had kids when they're 40 and then moved here from the city. That's what it is. They lived in the city and then they had kids and they were like, oh, let's move somewhere where we have a yard. That's exactly what happened in this whole town. 60% married population, which is higher than average. It's all that shit's higher. Divorce rate is like half the normal divorce rate. All that kind of thing. Single with no children's about normal, though, so that's not bad. Race of this town, strange for right by New York City, 71% white. 1.1% black, which is that is not a lot for where it's located.
Yourselves of culture, guys.
There's 13.1% Asian, so there's just different culture. There's Asian culture definitely, and 13.7% Hispanic. So it's it's an interesting mix-up in this town. 65% of the people here are religious, and I'll give you one hint what those are. 50% of the people here are Catholic, all Catholic.
Catholic, got it.
Catholics are, as we know, the Baptists of the North, and
I wanted it so bad to be 50% Jewish, so that you just for the rest of the show sing Hava Nagila
just the whole time. Well, we could do it 4 times over because it's 4.3% Jewish. Hey,
that's great.
Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila. I don't know the words.
You know the words?
Does anyone know the words?
Yeah.
People do know the words, and they've sent them to us, and thank you, but I can't memorize them.
There's no way.
That's my problem, not the songs. So in this town, Bergen County, in the last election, 57% voted Democrat, 41% Republican, 1.5% Independent. Unemployment rate is just about regular with the rest of the country right now. Household income, though, a little bit higher. Usually average household income $57,500. Here, $109,747.
More than double. Holy shit. Yeah.
This is a place where you live here so you can work in the city. Yeah. And in the city, you make good money, and then you live here so you don't have to spend what it costs to work in the city. So, yeah, that's what you have to pay to get people to work in a place that's very expensive. So 22% of the people here make between $100,000 and $150,000. So good upper middle class type of income going on here. So the cost of living, 100 is regular average. Here it's 138. So a little bit high, I would say. Housing is the high one. Housing is a 185. That's the one. Median home cost, rest of the country, it's about 291. $493,600 here. Little on the pricey side. 50% of the houses are between $500,000 and $750,000. That's what they're valued. So
50%?
50%. So it's expensive. And they're not huge houses, most of them. And we'll talk about it if we've convinced you, damn it. Get out of the city and you're going to Fair Lawn, New Jersey, to the Flatlands. We have for you the Fair Lawn, New Jersey Real Estate Report. Your average two-bedroom rental here goes for $1,613, which is above the national average by about $400. There's no square footage on like 95% of these houses. I don't know why, but it seems to be a New Jersey thing. Whenever I look up houses in this area, very few of them have the square footage listed. They have the lot size listed. It's weird. I found a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. This one I found the square footage, 1,328 square feet. No inside pictures, though.
Oh, boy.
Which is frightening. They do call it cozy a number of times in the description, though. It better be pretty goddamn cozy because it's $395,000. That better be oozing coziness. It better be oozing Sluterville or whatever the hell that was.
Everything that I have that's cozy, James, is old and worn the fuck out.
Cozy. Yeah, that's what that means. Small and worn out is what cozy means. So, like a Sluterville. So 4-bedroom, 2-bath I found. 2-story. No idea how many square feet, but it's a 7,139 square foot lot. So,
does it take up the whole lot?
Pretty much, yeah. There's not a lot of yard. Not a lot of yard. Okay. Pretty nice. Some updated stuff. It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, like I said. So decent place. $569,900.
Holy shit!
So that's your average kind of 4-bedroom, decent, nice, 2-story, clean looking house. Then I found this one's nice. It's a new construction, brand new.
Okay.
4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2,371 square feet. Yeah. It's all spanky new, all the white crap in the kitchen. Every trend that you can see. If you turn on HGTV right now, whatever they do to a house, that's what's done to this house. Very suburban with these columns. It's
lots of white tile.
Absolutely. $789,000 for this thing.
Oh, my God.
2,300 square feet. That is
$750,000.
That's a lot. But I mean, a half hour away, you would pay $17 million for that amount of space. So I guess it's whatever. Things to do in this town. Number one, just go to New York City. It's right there. It's right Lots of stuff to do. You can pick anything. You could see us in Brooklyn, as a matter of fact.
You betcha.
On December 5th, maybe 4th. I don't know, something like that.
It's that weekend at an opera house in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we're there. Or you can go to the Summer Concert Series, Jimmy.
Oh,
you know that's going to happen in Memorial Park. It's going on. We had this happened over the summer, but I can give you a recap if you'd like.
I would love to hear it.
On June 27th, Asbury Fever was there. What do you think they do, Jimmy? I bet you'll even guess it on the first try.
It's Peter Gabriel covers.
It's Bruce Springsteen covers.
Oh,
Are you
really?
kidding me? You're kicking it off with that. The next should be the Bon Jovi covers and then back to Springsteen. We go back to one. Sunset Sounds after that with a Z. Okay. 50s, 60s, 70s hits and more.
Everything is covers?
Everything. Yep, they just do. That's all it is. No, well, maybe not. The 18th is the Coots with a Z and a K. The Coots.
That doesn't sound good.
They play rock and roll, it just says. So that's probably 50s rock and roll or something.
Yeah.
A big band. Due South is there playing New Country, it says.
Yeah, Due South is a band.
Are they really?
I think so.
Well, there you go. They're following Jersey Sound, who have oldies, pop, Motown, and more. So, I don't know. Who else is here? Oh, the Cameos doing doo-wop and oldies. The Tequila Rose Band playing new and classic country. The thing they're telling you the most here is, it's in big, bold letters here, quote, you must bring your own chair. They're not going to provide chairs. So if you're expecting to show up and get a chair,
there's no
not
chairs.
Happening. There will be no chairs. You must bring your own chair.
There's also the Cameos, plural, not cameo.
No, the Cameos, all of them as a whole. They're making cameos. But they all have their own chairs.
Yeah.
Literally, the biggest thing on the whole website is the font and thickness of you must bring your own chairs. Very important. Refreshments will not be sold at the concerts. Attendees should bring their own beverages and snacks. No alcoholic bottles in glass. No alcoholic beverages in glass bottles, and no smoking.
Oh my God. There are so many fucking rules here.
It's New Jersey. Just bring a chair.
Can we have fun too still?
No. You're listening to Bruce Springsteen covers. No. Crime rate in this town. Property crime. People said they moved because of the crime. Right. Property crime is about 1/3 under the national average. So not much. Violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and of course assault is in Fair Lawn is fairly non-existent, we'll say. It's less. It's more than 2/3 less than under the national average. So it's less than 1/3 of the national average of violent crime.
Maybe they saw a bridge being painted in anticipation.
Maybe.
Oh, you know what this means? It's going to get bad around here.
They heard like a gunshot from Jersey City, and they're like, I don't like this. So that said, the safe town of Fair Lawn where people would, commute to the city and come home with their briefcases and their 1950s hats on and everything. We have for you, let's talk about a murder. Yeah. We need to. Okay. To do that, we need to go back in time, Jimmy.
Let's do some traveling, James.
We're going to do some traveling. What's better to travel than on the holidays? And the holidays, that's nostalgia time. That's when you travel.
Reminisce, yeah.
Think about this. We're going back to Thanksgiving Day, 1984.
All right.
November the 22nd, 1984.
I was 3 and had all my fingers.
Oh, think about the dumb shit clothes we were wearing in pictures for our family. Yeah. All of our grandparents were alive. This was a different time.
Slugger shirts, James. Yeah. That's what I was wearing.
Little Slugger. My dead grandfathers were hammered, and shit-faced and yelling at people. Yeah. I wonder if this is the year that my cousin once told me a hilarious story. Hilarious in my family, anyway. This would be tragic probably and thought of as a need for therapy in other families. Sure. But as a young child, he was at Thanksgiving and he was acting up somehow. Who knows what the fuck kids are doing. So my grandfather told him he was not allowed to eat Thanksgiving dinner, right? At all. So my aunt, or my father's aunt, my great aunt, said, no, you're not doing that. Fuck that. The kid's sitting at the table, and argued with him. And anyway, he ended up sitting at the table, and my grandfather ended up walking around the yard drinking for the rest of the night. Stayed out of the house and just walked around by himself drinking and smoking like a lone silhouette in the fucking yard.
One of us isn't eating this.
That would definitely be called for. There's red flags all over that shit. But in our family, that's hilarious. Isn't that crazy?
It's pretty funny.
Oh, alcoholism is amazing, isn't it? So,
well, when you undermine my authority, I will go drink and I'll show you.
God damn it, I won't talk to anybody. Freezing cold, just standing out there.
That's a great point too.
That's amazing. Oh, that's what I mean, for hours till it was dark out. It gets dark at 4:30 here by Thanksgiving. He's standing outside in the dark for hours till people started leaving. So November 22nd, 1984, Thanksgiving Day, in Fair Lawn, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's ugly sweaters everywhere. Things are happening.
Lions are on TV.
Oh man, 9:45 p.m. rolls around. So this is. You're sitting there with the full stomach.
Oh, God.
You've probably even indulged in some like extra dessert by now. You've started to get peckish again, and you went back in for another piece of pie at this point.
You can't wait to shit.
Oh, God. You just want everyone out, so you can't want everyone out so you can literally shit something with feathers on it because it's just too much. So This is the point. You've watched bad football. You've endured the Lions all day.
Yeah.
It's bad stuff. So 9:45 p.m., James W. McCauley.
Yeah.
Okay. He is sitting in his home in Fairlawn on Pomona Avenue, and he is nursing his full belly at this moment in time. He's watching TV. There's movies on Thanksgiving night, shit like that, watching that. And out of nowhere, by the way, he's an ex-police officer, James McCauley. He's, I think, a retired police officer, too. Okay. Sitting around. All out of nowhere, 9:45 Thanksgiving night. Things are quiet. People have already left your house. You're expecting no more anything to happen. Yeah. Instead, he hears footsteps up on his porch and then a loud pounding on his front door, like frantic footsteps and a pounding. Like, what the hell could be an emergency? So he swings the door open and he finds two of his neighbors, two 19-year-olds, young people that live next door. He said they looked, quote, pretty well shook up. Which is pretty descriptive. They tell him that Ruth next door, the young lady's mother, is dead.
Oh.
My mom's dead. They're hysterical. They're freaking out. Ran over there. My mom's dead. Help us, help us. I guess they thought of the neighbor. He's a retired cop, and he's an older person. We're 19. He'll know what to do.
Yeah.
When I was 19, I would have done the same thing. So they now I know enough to just go, whoop, I'm going to walk away and pretend like I didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Mind your own business. No, not if it's
Even
your mom.
For your grandma.
No, if it's your mom, say something. So McCauley says that he thought they came to tell him like, oh, she had a heart attack or something. It happens, and that's what he was anticipating when he walked in. But then he walks into the house, opens the door, and he tells the kids, quote, call the police. This is, something. Goes back and tells his wife in the next door again, call the police. Her mother's dead next door. Jesus. I got to look into this, apparently. So he said the daughter was, quote, hysterical, crying, mumbling. You couldn't understand what she was saying.
Oh.
So just completely losing her fucking mind over the whole deal, which, I mean, yeah, you're 19, you walk in, your mom's dead, you might turn into a blubbering mess,
I'd certainly melt down, yeah.
Absolutely. So they called police to report that, she was dead. That was going on while he was looking in there. Walked in and sees the house in complete disarray.
Oh.
That's the other thing. Like, wow, what the hell happened? There's shit everywhere. The back door is like broken off the hinges. It's very
heart attack.
Yeah, really. She must have had it. It was violent. Oh, he's like Red Fox and Sanford and Son.
Yeah. Instead
of grabbing shit, though, he just started smashing everything, kicking doors in and shit.
Not grabbing his chest, just grabbing the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and McCauley, while in the house, he also picks up the phone and calls the police, too, because he just like, I need to also talk to the police. He says while he does that, the young man who had knocked on his door of the couple didn't say a word and just paced back and forth across the living room, which people handle crazy shit in different ways. Some people lose it. Some people stay very calm and figure out how to work it and then flip out later. It's it's just how people react.
Processing.
He said that she, on the other hand, the daughter at this point, had started just sitting there crying. So when the police arrived, they knew McCauley. Yeah. So they said, hey, will you talk to the kids outside and keep them there while we kind of look around, keep them out of the way and, you hang out with them.
Babysit.
Yeah. So when police arrive, they say, yeah, you babysit them out here and we'll check out the house.
Yeah.
And they walk into the house and they're like, whoa, this house has been ransacked is the best word for it. Okay. Like old-fashioned ransacking. Every drawer in the house is open.
Yeah.
Like in every bedroom, everything is taken out of everywhere, strewn everywhere, shit's pulled out of closets. It's just like, it looks like a complete inspection of the place. Like, looks like the cops tossed it.
Served. Right.
Yeah, it looks like the cops tossed it. Right. They showed up at 5 a.m. looking for tons of meth, and then they just tossed this joint. So they did all of that. The back door, the lock was broken on the back door, and the back door had been broken as well.
Okay.
So they were, suspicious. And then the other thing that they found was the next door neighbor. He said, I thought while he's talking to the couple outside, he thought they were brother and sister and their mom was dead. He finds out that their boyfriend and girlfriend, and it's her mom that's dead.
Okay.
He was like, I thought they were brother and sister because they've been living there for a couple years and they're teenagers. So I didn't assume they were a couple living with the mother.
And the mom lives there too.
Yes.
Okay. So she has her boyfriend move in with them?
Yes, for a couple of years. And the other strange thing that they find in the house that's really weird is the mother, not only is she dead, but she's clearly had her head bashed in. And there are not one, but 2 knives sticking out of her back.
Oh, my.
And she's just lying there dead in the living room.
Look for Deadpool.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, a turkey carving argument gone awry.
I'm crazy.
This is 2 knives is something, too, to say. Most people don't attack with 2 knives. You only have one strong hand. Yeah. So you don't usually, even guns, you see. Not many people are Doc Holliday that are busting with double guns. It's one at a time, you know what I mean?
I mean, usually it's one weapon at a time, no matter what the weapon.
Yeah,
whether it be,
yeah.
You don't even throw 2 grenades at a time.
No, that would be silly. That would be silly.
But that's mostly because I throw like a dick with my left hand.
And most people don't do great things with their offhand. That's why they don't want to be wielding a knife with it, because you're probably not going to be able to use it as well as you want. You know? That's just crazy. I know one person in school one time that stabbed somebody with 2 knives, and he was so fucked up on dust he didn't even know what he was doing, and he went outside and sat under a tree afterwards.
So fucked up on dust, he was ambidextrous.
Yeah, he didn't realize what he was doing. He almost killed the kid too. Made him that's a crime and sports reference. The amphibiousness of not one but 2 different people said they were amphibious, meaning ambidextrous.
Happened to be teammates, so one influenced the other.
Yeah, they did too. I think Washburn was the main
I think so too.
influencer there.
That's the guy with lots of followers.
Yeah, definitely. So that's an interesting thing. So who the hell are these kids, first of all?
I'm riveted.
Yes. Well, this all happens, by the way, at 11 Pomona Avenue. That's the address here. And it's very important to know the address of the house, because the house itself is going to be quite a character in this little tale we talk about here. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked, God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
First of all, the young lady, the woman's daughter, is named Susan Mager. Mager. She's 19 years old.
Okay.
And she lives there with her mother. Her father, who is her mother's ex-husband, obviously. Sure. Her mother's name is Ruth. I'm sorry, Ruth, I just said. Ruth. Ruth Jacobus is her name. Yeah. Jacob with a U.S. on the end.
Oh, wow.
Jacobus. So, Ruth Jacobus as the mother. Susan Mager, 19, she's the daughter. Her father, Ruth's ex-husband, is a Teaneck, New Jersey police detective.
Teaneck,
New Jersey, not too far away. And he's a police detective, the father, an active at the time police detective. Mager just graduated from Teaneck High School, and recently she has taken a big step in her career by attending the Roman Academy Beauty School in Hawthorne.
Oh, great.
So she's doing very well. Soon to be a beauty school dropout, which that's all that puts in my head.
Every time.
This fucking beauty school dropout. No graduation day for you. 2 knives in your mom. You better have an excuse.
That was a fascinating movie in that spot too, because that chick's 17, right? I mean,
yeah.
And she looks like she is trying to fuck a 40-year-old man. Like,
well, yeah. Well, at the time,
she is certainly swooning.
He's playing younger him. That's the thing. He's playing like him in 1959.
16-year-old? Yeah.
Yes, that's what it's supposed to be, even though at the time he's like 46 or something.
Way too old. Yeah, way too old for this weird shit.
I mean, she was probably 28 also, the actress.
Yeah, true. But she's playing a 17-year-old, and he's like baiting her into him molesting her. No, she's baiting him into molesting her is what it is.
In reality, it's just 2 middle-aged people finding comfort in each other in the actuality.
What it is 2 middle-aged people having a day job of acting.
Yeah. That's it. In the PS I Hate This Movie, we talked about that, and we went over all the ages of all the actors, and it's fucking mystifying.
Way too old. Yeah.
Stockard Channing is literally 35 years old. Yeah. Not kidding. 35 playing a 17-year-old. Yeah. It's like, of course. Yeah, of course she looks like she's had it a little rough. She's 35. She's on her 3rd career. Like, what are you talking about?
They may have cast her in that because of the fact that Rizzo was supposed to have a rough life, right? That was the idea.
I guess so. A 35-year-old life.
Sure looks like it.
So anyway, the Roman Academy Beauty School in Hawthorne, and she did that. She's currently there, and her boyfriend is Edward Zakarian, Zakarin. He's 19 years old. Okay. Edward Zakarian. He goes to Fairleigh Dickinson University. Fairleigh Dickinson in Fair Lawn. It's not in Fair Lawn anyway, but he's also working his way through school. What do you think his job is, Jimmy?
He's a mechanic.
He is an Encyclopedia Britannica salesman.
What?
He sells encyclopedias, Jimmy.
That's hysterical.
When's the last time you heard of that being a profession? Selling encyclopedias.
I've literally never seen it. I've only heard of it.
You've heard of it. People, when you're a kid, you'd see encyclopedias in people's houses, and you assume someone stopped by and sold them to them. Right. but it's something that you don't. It happens in private. You don't see that happen.
Where did this mystical fucker come from?
Well, yeah. Whoa. Where did this come? And the first thing that was killed by the internet was encyclopedia salesman, because literally that's the first thing people figured out is, what is that? I'd be quicker to look that up here. Oh, look at that. I never need these again. And if anyone came to the door, they'd go, fuck, I have the, do you hear that beep, beep, in the background? That means I don't need you anymore.
I don't need you anymore.
Get out of my face.
But the vacuum salesman hung on till fairly recently. I don't know if they still do it, but
they will.
The Kirby will show up to your house to give you a fucking demonstration.
That was a Always Sunny plot line like 7 years ago. Like, Frank's new thing was he was going to sell the vacuum cleaners and the knives and shit.
It still happens.
It still happens. So he's doing that then. And they were high school sweethearts, apparently. The daughter here and Susan and Edward are high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
And now he's going to Fairleigh Dickinson, selling some encyclopedias. She's going to make you up nice, give you that jersey puff to your hair and that thick eyeliner, and make you look like fucking Adriana from The Sopranos. That's the goal here.
Perfect.
Especially in '84. Imagine what she was learning. Oh my God.
Oh my.
Hiya. I'm going to give you a D because it's not high enough. Give me more gum. Okay, I'm going to give you a D. It's not high enough. I'm sorry.
It's
going to fall down. She goes outside. It could be 3 inches of snow. It's going to fall down. Then what? It's garbage. D minus. D minus. So she now Ruth is Susan's mother. Okay. Ruth Jacobus. She was 48 years old before this.
So young.
Tragic murder, obviously. Yeah. Even more tragic is it's hard for her. She couldn't have called for help because she is, first of all, deaf. So she can't hear at all. And on top of that, she's also mute. Now, I don't know if that's the correct term for that or not. I'm not sure what that. You don't come across it enough to even. I don't even know. She unspeaking, whatever the fuck she is. She doesn't talk. She can't speak.
Most people that are deaf, James, are nonverbal, but that's just because they can't hear. I mean, they don't know how to do it because they can't hear.
Yeah,
they don't know that.
But a lot of times they learn.
Yeah,
most deaf people I've known can talk. If you know,
not fully deaf. Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
They can't be fully deaf because they don't know how to do it.
If they lost their hearing,
yes.
If they're born deaf, obviously that'd be more difficult.
If you're born hearing and you can learn, then you can still get the words out. They sound obviously a little different, but but people that were born deaf, they're nonverbal, I guess is the word.
Yeah, I guess she could make some noises, but not much.
Not words.
She couldn't. Not even not words. She couldn't produce much noise. So she had some sort of. It wasn't just that she was deaf and couldn't speak. Yeah. She had some sort of issue with her actual facilities in speaking. So all she could do was make some noise. So she could indicate if she was upset or something like that. But it would all. It's very. You couldn't. It's just from noises, from little noises she could make. So because of this. And everybody says pretty much because of this, she was kind of shy with like new people because it's difficult for her to let you know who she is back then, especially back then. Because now maybe if you meet her, then she could text you and she might be fucking hilarious in a text because she can get that off. You know what I mean? But in real life, she can't really tell you much. So she didn't really mingle with her neighbors or anything. She's lived there for about 2 years. And one of her neighbors said that she just never really got to know her, wave at her and things like that. But that's it. So they found her in the kitchen, between the kind of kitchen and living room of this small house here. She'd been bludgeoned with what they found because they found it nearby and it matched up with the wounds. Bludgeoned with a hammer.
Dear Lord.
Bashed in the skull about 5 times with a hammer.
A deaf lady that can't even talk.
And has 2 knives embedded in her back.
Dear Lord, that's too much.
Yes, one was a big like a slicing, like a butcher knife, big kitchen knife, and one was a paring knife, a smaller knife.
Oh, God.
Both just jammed in there, stuck in there. She stabbed twice, and they just left the blades in there. So, they found all the weapons right there. They found out that she bled to death from a severed pulmonary artery. So they said the one blade was about less than an inch away from just piercing her actual heart. Wow. It was right there, and the other one sliced her liver. Okay. So, yeah, that's That's rough. That is 2 really good shots. Yeah. Like, very unlucky. Ruth has shit luck. Let's just say that.
Luck.
She's got bad luck. On Thanksgiving night, for Christ's sake. She probably got done cleaning and then had this happen to her.
She just threw away bones and packed away sandwich meat.
Someone lost the wishbone challenge this night, and this is fucking horrible, this poor woman. So they said there was more wounds as well, but they were as a result of a fall. Okay. From what they can gather just from putting together basic physical evidence, it seems to be that someone bashed her in the head with a hammer 1 or more times until she fell. When she fell, she hurt herself more. Yeah. Then she was bashed a couple more times while she was incapacitated, and then stabbed twice in the back with different blades.
Damn it.
So this is really, really on purpose. Like, there's no, there's nothing that you could... There's nothing mitigating here. Yeah, I don't know what... You can't say I just couldn't take it anymore. She kept yelling at me. That's not not an excuse. There's not a lot of excuse here unless she was physically attacking you here. Yeah. So the police officer that got there said upon a cursory examination, it appeared an intruder broke in by the rear door and ransacked the house. So they said once they started looking through it, though, they started realizing that, quote, the premises did not really reflect an intruder.
Okay.
So they're like, there's something off about it.
The door's broken, the house is ransacked, but not an intruder?
But the way it's ransacked isn't a way that an intruder ransacks. An intruder doesn't just make a mess. No? That's not what their goal isn't just to make it look like it's messy. Their goal is to steal shit. Yeah. So they're looking for shit and taking the contents of a drawer and making sure you fling them from one side to another is not conducive to getting you more loot. That's the point. So
the drawer with the keys that go to nothing in the house is all over the place, and there's no reason to have it.
They generally will do things that are not to waste time having, ooh, I'm going to fling this over here. Yay. Like, I'll throw her socks over in that direction. Yeah. But people who want to make it look like a ransacking, they make a mess because that's what they think it looks like in their brain. It's in a movie, you walk into a room and the desk is tipped over and the lamp's messed up. Why would an intruder knock the lamp over? How does that help? You know what I mean? It doesn't. Why would they tip a desk over? What does that help anybody? That's just so it looks cool on film. And people get that in their heads. It's like why when people get shot they fall down because they think they're supposed to fall down. Right. Most of the time, unless they hit something that, shuts off their nervous system, they don't have to fall down. They just fall down because they think, oh, shit, I got shot, so I fall down.
We've been psychological. Over this 30 times.
Yeah, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
Same shit, though. So, anyway, in this, the police officer here and one of the neighbors tells one of the police officers, oh, it happened again here.
What?
The cop says, what are you talking about? She goes, you don't know it? This is a house of tragedy. And they go, what are you talking about? And then it kicks in. We start looking back in history, and we go back to 1973. Okay. We go back to
10 years ago?
10 years ago, we go back to Walter Jacobus.
Her dad?
Walter Jacobus is Ruth Jacobus's deceased husband.
Oh.
Okay, and we'll talk about how that happened. Walter Jacobus was married to a woman in 1973 named Phyllis Ruth, also another Ruth.
What the fuck?
So Phyllis, we'll just call her Phyllis. Jacobus was an electrician and then became chief of the Fair Lawn Volunteer Fire Department. Okay. So he is like Steve Martin and Roxanne, though. Everyone knows him. He's hey, chief, how's it going, chief? The chief of the fire department is a big deal in this town. You know what I mean? That's their fire department. It's a volunteer. He's the fucking chief. Yeah, I don't know the size of this man's nose or whatever, but
how good is he with the tennis racket? James?
He's pretty good. I love him fucking with those old ladies all the time. That's
amazing.
That's my favorite. So anyway, he served for 20 years in the fire department, became the chief. He's also an electrician. He's a very passionate man. Very passionate. I saw articles about him very upset about false alarms at the high school.
What do you mean?
Kids are pulling false alarms at the high school.
He's furious about it?
He said, Jesus Christ, he literally said, what happens when there's actually a fire in one of these buildings and we're not rushing there because we think it's some other thing? Or somebody pulls a false alarm in the middle school and then the elementary school actually catches fire. What are we supposed to do then? These little punks need to be dealt with. That was his
boys and wolves, goddammit, stop crying.
Stop it. So there's an incident where Phyllis is involved in a car accident, and he gets involved in it. He shows up at the site of the car accident and doesn't like the way the cop is handling the whole accident scene. So he got involved and started yelling at the cop and having a shit fit, basically, saying, you're not handling my wife well and all this, to the point where he gets arrested for it in the street for defending.
Can you imagine?
For defending Phyllis. And he's got $100 bail. And he's got to bail himself out of jail, and it's a big deal. Fire chief, charged with obstructing of whatever the fuck. Oh, being charged as being a disorderly person.
That's
for disrupting a police officer's processing of an accident scene. So he's passionate, and his passion overwhelms him, we'll say, in March of 1973. March 14th, 1973, in this very same house, he is home with his wife, Phyllis, and whatever happened, they got into an argument, and he stabbed her to death.
What?
Stabbed her good. I mean, just repeatedly stabbed her. Deep stab wound near the heart, several other superficial wounds. Stabbed her to death, picked up the phone, called the cops. He said, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, Chief over here. Chief Walter." He said, quote, "I've just killed my wife, and now I'm going to kill myself," and hung up. So he did that. When the police found him, they walked in the house, they found her dead, and they found him on the bed also, slumped beside her with deep stab wounds as well. He took the knife and just started fucking stabbing himself in the abdomen as fucking deep as he could get it.
Is ballsy.
Oh, yeah. He was bleeding out when they found him. They took him to the hospital in critical condition. Yeah. This wasn't like, I'm making a show of this and I stabbed he was like to the hilt with himself. Didn't give a fuck.
Crazy.
So this is a real actual attempt here. They had an arraignment at his bedside. They actually did a bedside arraignment. He had an emergency surgery where they saved his life here. And by the way, one of the detectives, his name is Boogerman.
Like
Boogertman. Booger, 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 T-Man. Booger T-Man.
They call him Boogeyman, right?
I would think so. Just Booger, either one.
Or Booger.
Or Booger. Boogerman and his partner's name is Hickey. So it's like
Nicky, yeah.
It's just ridiculous. We've both been made fun of a lot in our childhood, so we've decided to get
Booger
guns and no one will do it anymore.
Deposed the chief? Is that what happened?
They're talking to the chief here. So she is pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. She's already dead. She was dead when they got there, but they called her at the hospital. She was taken right away, and it was kind of like, whatever. But he was on the, critical and surgery to save his life and all that sort of shit here. So she ended up with 4 stab wounds, a couple of them in the left ventricle of the heart. So that's what she had.
I guess it's obvious that a knife wound can kill somebody, but in my head, like, you're betting on the ones that you've inflicted are the ones that are that those are good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I see why people stab 90 fucking times. As much as it sounds exhausting and all. I'm shocked.
Stab and check though. You can stab and be like, let's see what happened on that one.
I'm always shocked when people get stabbed 4 times and die.
Stab, then assess is what I'm getting at. Yeah. Stab first, assess later, and see how much more stabbing is needed.
Yeah.
If anything, don't wear yourself out. But this guy...
Conserve it.
Conserve your stabbing energy, because you might need to stab yourself, and he couldn't get the job done. That's the problem. But this poor woman, she died. They said the knife used in the slaying was a serrated steak knife, which, that's
God.
awful. About 8 inches long and 5/8 of an inch in width. So, long and thin. One of those.
I guess that's about how wide they are.
Man, stabbed himself 3 times. One of his wounds came within 1/16 of an inch of piercing his heart. So, with a steak knife, you really got to want that to stab that in there and yourself. That's hard to do. Really hard to do. At the time, people were trying to figure out why he fucking did this. He's like the beloved fire chief. No one could understand it. And they said stress, this is from a bunch of family friends, They believe that stress over his wife's medical condition may have caused him to cut her up. I'm so worried about her, I have to stab her in the heart a bunch of times. Is a weird defense.
What's her medical condition?
She was recently diagnosed with diabetes and had returned from the hospital after being injured severely in multiple auto accidents in recent years. So I guess she was in pain and she had diabetes. This doesn't seem like a mercy thing here. This isn't. Well, she was 37, Jimmy. Like, we could get her back on the right track, get her some physical therapy, maybe a better diet regimen with some insulin, and we'll get her going again. Like, this isn't like I had to put her down.
Depending on the severity of the diabetes, you can beat that. You know what I mean? Like,
she's 37.
It's not necessarily the end.
Nope, Jimmy, it was time. It was time, and you know how you can see the look in their eyes when they say, please, please, I can't even walk anymore. My hips are bothering me. And I do, oh, well, no, that's a dog. That's a dog. That's not a person.
Shit on the carpet. Time to put it down.
That dude, what the fuck? Like, that's not crazy. A mercy killing at this age here. This is just insanity. They said that he left a note, though, explaining that he committed the crime because his wife said that she was going to leave him.
Okay.
So she's obviously well enough to leave him. So I don't know what theory to believe here. I'm going to believe the theory of she said she was going to leave him. He freaked out, stabbed her a bunch.
Much more plausible.
Said, wow, this sucks. I better stab myself now.
That sounds like a man.
That's crazy. So one of his fire employees said, quote, you never know what will happen from one day to the next.
Okay.
The chief's dead. So they were like a popular couple in the community too. He was at went to the mayor's house all the time and social functions, and everyone knew them and said they were both quiet and polite and well liked by their friends. And there was none of this was like a thing that anybody ever expected to happen. As a matter of fact, one of their friends said, quote, it was totally unexpected. Backing me up 100%. They're such nice people.
Good quote.
It's perfect. Now, their children, because they have young children as well. This isn't like, there's young children here. One of them is 15 years old, and then they have a younger one as well. Oh, no, they lived there 15 or 16 years. They have two small children that are now going to be taken into the home of their grandparents who live across the street. So they get to look at that. That's a lot of fun here.
That's brutal. They don't even go across town. They literally come home from school and see the
police tape up across the house. Yeah.
Every day.
Walter Jr.'s 14 and Russell is 8 are the children. So that's
awful.
God damn it. He did that with 2 little kids. Not only kill the mom, but then kill yourself. I'll leave my kids with nothing. Nothing at all. First of all, if you're going to kill yourself, just kill yourself anyway. You don't have to take anybody with you. If you're in this situation where you're like, I'm going to kill someone and then kill myself. Well, save the first step. It really doesn't matter. As long as you're dead anyway, what do you care what's going on with them?
That's a good point. If you're picking murder-suicide as the finality, like for sure it's all, just go with suicide.
Stop caring what people are saying when you're not in the room. You know what I'm saying? That's all. It's the basic bottom line of it. Who gives a shit? You're dead. Let everybody else go along with their business. Maybe it's you. So that's only if you're going to kill people. Otherwise, don't kill yourself.
Right.
But if you're planning on a murder-suicide and that's the only option,
skip the murder.
Skip the murder part at that point. And let's, I'm just trying to mitigate damage. Anyway, they're staying over there. Friends are freaked out, like we said. And anyway, he goes to court and he ends up pleading. He pleads not guilty at first. Mm-hmm. And then he pleads that like a no contest type of thing. It's called no defense. I don't know if that's something you could plead in Jersey. I think it's just no contest, basically. So he pleads no defense here. So he's convicted of this, and he receives, you, sir, may fuck off, a sentence of 10 to 12 years.
That sounds like an Alford plea.
It's kind of, I guess. No defense, though. They're all different in different states, how they're classified. But it seems like a no contest, no defense. That's like almost exactly. But who knows? But anyway, he receives a 10 to 12 year sentence. And right away, as soon as he gets into prison, he's just petitioning to get out early. He wants to get out early. In 1973, his sentence he's successful. His sentence is reduced to 9 years in prison. So he gets it reduced to that. And then after that, he goes to court again. and claims that his continued imprisonment is becoming a real hardship for his family.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people who are in prison. It's a hardship for their... I'd say you could pull 90% of the people in prison and go, is this a hardship for your family? And they go, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I got kids, I got a wife, I got a husband, I got this, I got that. I got my mom and take care of this one. He's like, it's a real hardship. And the judge is like, oh, really? Shit. Well, we got to help you with that. He's not even like, well, yes, stupid, you're in prison. You stabbed your wife in the heart, dummy. That's what happens. You should have thought of that. I bet you have pictures of your kids all over your fucking house. You couldn't have looked up at a wall and said, oh, yeah, I'm going to fuck things up for them. It's going to be a hardship if I kill their mom. That's a hardship.
So what does he serve, James?
He says it's a hardship, and he's very upset. And the grandparents moved to Florida, and the ones that are in the area that can take care of the kids are physically unable to do it. So, it's either him or the kids are going to end up in an orphanage. Jesus Christ, you got to let him out, please, for the love of God. And they say, you know what? We're going to let this fine man out to take care of his children. You, sir, can go home and take care of your kids after 17 months in jail.
Holy shit.
17 months.
In New Jersey.
He stabbed the fucking Christ out of his wife, and he got 17 months in jail, man. That's
unbelievable.
Dude, that's a motherfucker, man. That shit just isn't right. That's wild. I don't even know what to say about that shit. He's released in December of 1974 and goes on with his life.
James, that's worse than miscarriage of justice where somebody's let free that certainly did it. You know what I mean? Because this is like they got him. They put him in jail, and they're like, you're all right.
Imagine if, like, OJ got convicted, and then in 2 years they were like, we're going to let him go. It's hard on his kids. People would be like, what are you fucking talking about? Huh? This is, Scott Peterson, it's been difficult on your... I'm sure your mom's sad. We're going to let you out of jail. So
your brother's license, that keeps coming up in interviews. Your brother's got to be just distraught.
But in both of those scenarios, imagine they also admitted to doing it. Right. That's the other thing. They also said they did it. And then they were like, but I mean, it's so hard on people for you to do this. So he ends up coming out of jail and just doing his thing. And he's the chief. He's not the fire chief anymore, but people still like him. There's not even like a stigma attached to it.
What?
It's very weird. It's so strange. He comes out and there's literally no like... he's not like ostracized from the community. People are just like, hey, Walter, how you doing?
Thanks for paying your debt, Walter.
Hey, Walter's out of prison. I'll see if he wants to go fishing this weekend. What the fuck are you talking about?
Why? Shit, I thought you'd be in forever. Welcome back.
Hey, Walter. So,
I mean, if you don't marry him, you're pretty well safe.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, in 1982 is when he marries Ruth Jacobus, our deceased woman. Here, he met her at the Easter Seal Community Center in Hackensack.
How cute.
Yeah, she worked he was the longtime maintenance foreman there, and she worked for the center, which performs small production jobs for private industry, is what it says here. And one of the women who worked there said, quote, we all used to marvel at how rapidly and accurately she would work. Her death is a terrible shock. So... she worked there for a long time. He worked there as well. He got a job there in the mid-'70s or late 70s after he'd been, I guess they hire convicted murderers there to do janitorial work.
I don't think that e-check, whatever it is, that background thing, I don't think that existed yet.
No, and she couldn't ask, like, so what have you been up to in the last 5 to 7 years? Like, been married before? The lack of conversation there is going to be a hindrance when you need to find out if someone killed their last wife.
Right. But unless she can't hear and can't talk, then it's perfect.
Plus, anybody that was there, you would think whoever's the HR person knows this guy killed his wife. And
somebody's got to tell her,
any woman within a viable age range for him to go after, you think you'd be like, hey, I want you to meet Walter, the guy who killed his wife, and we hired anyway because we're good people. Here he is. How you doing? This is Ruth. Ruth, this is the guy who murdered his wife, stabbed her 4 times right in the heart, then stabbed himself a bunch too. Really crazy stuff. A little unstable. Anyway, this is Walter. You might want to...
unless you introduce him as, this is Walter, real Romeo and Juliet, this guy.
Yeah, real Romeo and Juliet type, except It's kind of an involuntary Juliet situation. He's like a Romeo with
They always say Romeo and Juliet in like a romantic situation.
Way, yeah.
But it's the most disgusting thing. No, it's a horrible thing.
It's teenagers who wouldn't even like each other in 6 months if they just give it a chance, deciding to kill each other over unrequited horseshit.
Who've known each other for literally like 48 hours.
Yeah. It's like that's what a rom-com would have been if they had them in like the 15th century. They'd have been 16th century.
They literally don't even know each other's middle names, and they're killing themselves over each other.
God forbid. Imagine that. How shitty would you feel if you're their family, too? We've known you your whole life, and you're going to just... More important, somebody you met fucking 48 hours ago? No loyalty here.
You ever considered killing yourself over a one-night stand? Only over regret, not necessarily...
Not over this.
Over lack of forever.
Jesus Christ. So poor Ruth here. She marries him, and... Ruth has 4 children from a previous marriage to Gerald Mager, who was the Teaneck police detective.
Yep.
And everyone said she seemed to be very caring for her family. Now, in December of 1983, so 11 months before the Thanksgiving Day tragedy, Walter, dies of liver disease.
Wow.
Yeah, so he dies in the house of liver disease. He's dead. Ruth stays. Who knows? Ruth stays in the house that he killed his wife in earlier with her youngest daughter, Susan, and allows the boyfriend to move in. Okay,
it's a Stephen King book.
That's what I mean. This fucking house has a life of its own. It's insane. So what? Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmie had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's SONOBELLO.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
What the fuck happened in this story? Let's get to that. What happened to Ruth? That's the important. We know what happened to Phyllis, Ruth. Now let's find out what happened to Ruth. Now, Ruth, this is Edward's story. This is the boyfriend. They talk to him first because he's the calmest of the whole group here. So he says that they went to Maywood, New Jersey, he and his girlfriend, Susan, to go have Thanksgiving dinner at his grandmother and aunt's house.
Yes.
So very normal. And he said then they went back to Ruth's house to go have Thanksgiving dinner number 2, which, if you know anything about that, when you're in a relationship that's newer, once you're married, you just pick one or whatever. But if you have a newer relationship, you have to go to like 2 to 3 Thanksgivings, and it's really...
Depending on if you have a family that's all together. If it's not...
it's a mess.
Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is mislabeled because my family's nuclear in terms of like it's been fucking exploded.
But thank you, Jeff Foxworthy. Jesus Christ, Jimmy, you are really.
I'm just saying it doesn't sound like you've heard what? What are you talking about?
I'll just take that fruit off the ground.
Has anybody ever said that before? That is mislabeled? It's certainly mislabeled.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty.
I've never heard of that before in my life, but it is certainly mislabeled. But if you don't have a nuclear family, then you have to go to several Thanksgivings anyway.
Yes.
I have to go to shitloads of them.
I had to go to fucking multiple when I was a kid. You had to go to your dad's and your mom's and this one and take you over here, and they might go to 2.
Cut my family out of my life. Now I go to none.
It's so great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's the fucking worst. I don't like any of the food sucks anyway, so what do you want? So he said they went back there for meal 2. God, what a mess. So he said they ate dinner.
Yeah.
Ruth, Susan, and Edward, they all ate Thanksgiving dinner again. And he said after that, he went outside to fuck around with his car. So he needed to recharge his battery, which if you just got home from somewhere, why would you need to recharge your battery? It's been charging as you drove. But I don't know what kind of weird electrical problems his car has. I'm not going to fucking snipe at that. So he said he's dicking around with his car outside in the dark on Thanksgiving in the cold, which is weird anyway. And he hears screaming and yelling in the house. So we know who's doing that, obviously. Yeah. There's only one source possible there. So he said he went in and he heard crying in the bedroom. Mm-hmm. And again, he said, okay. So he goes into the bedroom and he saw Ruth leaning against the wall. Leaning. And he said, quote, her eyes were closed and she appeared dead. She had blood on her face.
Leaning against the wall?
Leaning against the wall. Okay. And he said Susan was crying and kneeling between the bed and the wall. She was like in a little fetal position between the bed and the wall crying. So he said he walked over to her, to Susan, and took a hammer out of her hand and threw it on the floor. So he took a hammer away from her, threw it on the floor. He said he brought Susan into the kitchen and asked her what the fuck happened, which is a fair question, I would say. You're holding the hammer, your mom looks dead, she's bloody. What's up? What's the deal here? So he asked her what happened. She said, according to him, quote, it was an accident and she was afraid of going to jail. Mm-hmm. Again, I've never hit anyone in the head with a hammer by accident. That's a pretty big accident, I would say. He said then that he went into the living room and Susan followed, but then he heard more crying and he heard Susan say, quote, she won't die, she won't die. A common problem. I mean, who hasn't had that problem? So she won't die, she won't die. Then he says that at that point, Susan grabbed a knife and ran into the kitchen where she said that Ruth had crawled from her hammer blows. She was still a little loopy, but crawling. He said at that point, Susan ran up behind Ruth and stabbed her in the back as she was on the floor. Okay. Then he says that Susan handed him another knife because she left the knife in her back and her mom fell down. She got a bigger knife, handed it to him and said, quote, if you love me, you'll do it.
Yeesh.
Okay. So he said, quote, I stabbed her and I ran outside and vomited. Yeah. That's his claim. So yeah, he's ran outside and vomited. That's wow. That's fucking crazy. She was saying
that's his story.
That's his story. He's saying that she was saying that, she loved me and she was scared and will you help me and all this type of shit. So he said that this was Jesus Christ. The whole thing. She won't die. She won't die. And he was just very kind of made him a little. He didn't understand what was happening. And she said she won't die. She won't fall. She said that Susan got nervous and didn't know what to do. And he said he stood there with the knife for a minute after she handed it to him, but she kept like nudging him, going like, come on, If you love me, you'll do it. Like, do that. And so he said, I just stuck a knife in her back and ran outside and vomited. I just did it. I had my eyes closed. I didn't want to do it. I was just scared, disgusted, whatever it was. I just stuck it in and ran outside and vomited. So that's his story.
So he's culpable for murder now, just so you know.
Yeah, I did stab her. I stabbed her. But I mean, I was...
Here's
you know
the story
how it
of
is.
what happened. Perfectly innocent.
Tryptophan is a bitch,
I mean,
really fucks with your brain.
How many times have you eaten 2 helpings of stovetop? You know how fucking tired you get? How murdery you get?
It's so weird. You start to see visions of murder. Next thing you know, it starts seeming like a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Someone hands you a knife, you use it.
You eat canned gravy twice in a night. You're going to fucking kill somebody.
I think maybe the cranberries had some aluminum poisoning from the can. I think maybe it was a rust. Maybe, you know how that they're dented, you're not supposed to eat them or whatever. I think maybe some air got in there. I'm not sure what happened. So he said then after he was vomited for a while, just had some fun vomiting, fun with vomits, he said he went back into the house and heard noises in the bedroom at that point. So he said he went in and he found Susan pulling the drawers out and just doing this, tearing shit apart, pulling drawers out, throwing things everywhere. He said then she did the same thing in the living room. And he said, quote, a little after that, I went outside and sat in the car. Okay. He said at that point, Susan came out and told him, can you do me a favor? You need to go and break the back door and make it look like a burglar broke in. Can you do that for me? Just, can you kick the back door in? Okay, that's...
How long after all this is he talking to the cops? Like right now?
Oh, this is like, when they start to get like, oh, what's going on here? This doesn't look right. They go, hey, well, let's go down to the station and talk about it. We got to do the crime scene and all that, so we'll take you down to the station. And this is his story immediately.
He just spills the whole thing.
This is exactly, he comes out with exactly all of this.
Thanksgiving night, my girlfriend and I murdered her mom. We framed it to look like a robbery. What now?
That's it. He just spills it. There's not even a hesitation. They really don't have to ask him much. They go, what happened? He's like, well, about 9 o'clock this morning. And then he just went from the whole time. Just, that's it. Doesn't matter.
And that's my day. See you tomorrow.
And I had 2 helpings of the stovetop, and I had this. We came home. I'll tell you what, the white meat was a bit dry, but the dark was mighty fine.
Still juicy.
I realize it's New Jersey, but everybody gets the panhandle accent. That's how it works in this show.
I'm going to go on home. What? What does he expect is going to happen here?
Well, after that, was he just like rubbing the stomach? Well, all right, it's about time I'm
hungry. I threw up a lot tonight.
Yeah. Still a little munchy. Any more pie left? Did you get blood on the pie? Because I'm real hungry. There's no blood on the pie. I'd really like to have a piece. So he said a little after that, I went out and sat in the car, break the door. He said, I told her I did it, but she didn't believe me. So he had to go show her that he did it because I guess he did it earlier. The 2 of them then drove to Teaneck to hang out with their friends to establish an alibi. They did it on purpose. They said, well, we got to go hang out. We can't just hang out here. We got to go somewhere so it looks like we're not here. You know what I mean?
Both of them are dangerous. Jesus.
That way we walk in the house and we go, oh, no, mom's been killed. And then we'll go run next door, tell the neighbor so they can see how horrified we are. And then we have alibis and things are set in place and we look good.
But instead they got outside the house and then the house curse wore off of them and they're like, oh, my God, what happened?
Yeah, what happened? I don't understand this. What? Where are we?
Why are we both covered in blood?
Why? What? I don't even remember. And they got back in the living room. They're like, I was standing right here. She was over there. It all comes back.
It all comes right back. Did the dad die in the house of liver problems also, or did he probably died in a hospital? Huh?
I think he died in the house, actually.
Oh, my God.
That was the thing. Yeah, so this house is going to take you.
I hope
it's going to take you.
I hope they've raised it.
No, it's there.
Oh,
it's still
my
there. Exactly.
God.
They painted it white, at least now. It's not dark brown anymore like it was back then, but it's there. I saw this Zillow Street view of it. I'm like, oh, God, that's the same house. It's exactly the same. So we apologize, people in that house, if we're fucking up your value, but this is public information. I'm sorry. It's in the newspaper.
Better. It might be enhancing it, depending on who buys it.
You're going to at least have a few of our weirdos stopping to look at it. I'll tell you that much right fucking now. If you see cars slowing down outside, sorry about that. Sorry. So they returned to the house, and that's when Susan, according to Edward, Susan asked Edward to go inside and call the police. He said he was too scared to go back inside because he didn't want to see the dead body.
Yeah.
And, the house will take him back over again. So he said, I'll go to the neighbor's house, call the cops, and all that sort of shit. So that's his story here. She was crying, saying it's an accident. She didn't want to go to jail. She said she'd never see me again, and she loved me. And if I loved her, I'd stab her mother and make it look like multiple burglars kept breaking in. And, he just said, I'm trying to gather my thoughts, and she's trying to kill her mom. And you know how it goes on Thanksgiving. It's just very
amazing.
It's very hectic with the family. So I love this quote here. I don't love it. It's horrible. But he said, I saw Susan stab her mother in the back. And I snuck the knife. I just stuck the knife in her back. I ran outside and vomited. That's what he says. That's all I could do.
Just stuck it in her back in a very fortuitous location because you hit a fucking organ too.
I just stuck it in her back is wild. Like that sounds like it's. All I did was I just stole some gum. I didn't rob the store. I stole a pack of Trident, but I swear I didn't hold up the cash register. Like you killed the lady, whether you just stuck it in or you. I really gave it a good shot and stabbed her. It's still the same shit. You did the same exact thing.
Right.
His attorney now, because he gets an attorney pretty quick. His attorney said my investigation indicates quite the contrary, talking about the eyewitness. They're talking about what Susan's later going to say, basically saying that she's the one who said to fabricate the robbery. So if she says he did it, it's bullshit and all this. He says he did a big investigation, so he's ready to check it out. Now, Susan, at first, they get her in there the same night that he's going, oh, yeah, this is what happened, A, B, and C. She gets in there and won't give a statement at first. First, she won't say shit, which she's the daughter of a police detective. So anybody who's in the family of a police detective knows to never say shit to shit, to mafia and police detectives' families.
How many times has he told her, don't say a word?
I don't care if you get pulled over for speeding. Here's my license, and don't say another goddamn thing unless I got my lawyer with me. So, because that's what any cop that gets busted for anything never says a motherfucking word because they know better. So then she says, okay, I'll talk, but gives several versions of I didn't do anything, and neither did anybody else. Several versions of I came home, she was there. One version she was somewhere else and then came home. Another version she was with her friends and she came home. Another version she was home earlier, then left for a little. She had like 4 different versions of what happened, of how she found her mother. Not really good. Then she says, look, I'm very confused. I'm very upset. I found my mother. You saw me. I was hysterical. Yeah. I've had a lot going on in me. I'm belly full of turkey. I just really need potatoes. I really need to. The au gratin is hurting me right now. I really need to reset.
It's extra cheese.
So she says, I will talk to you if, on one condition, you allow me to speak with my father first. So
not my lawyer, my father.
Not my lawyer, and she's not a minor, so they don't have to. But they say, you'll talk, and she says, I'll tell you everything I know if you let me talk to my dad first. Yeah. So they said, all right, fine. So they let her talk to her dad. Then she comes back and says, I'm ready to give a statement now, which, her dad has now told her this stuff. So she says the incident began when she and her mother started arguing over telephone bills. Which is okay. Then she said that Ruth started, quote, throwing little things at her.
Okay.
Throwing I don't know what little things.
The turkey, shit like that.
I have no fucking clue what's going on. Just leftover potato peels, maybe whole pies. We don't know.
But this lady's deaf. Like,
that's what I mean. She's deaf and doesn't speak. So this argument is, I don't know if she came and showed her the she came, shows her the telephone bill, points to it. What the fuck is this? And then she says, "Fuck you, mom." And then her mom starts throwing shit at her. Like, what? This is. I don't know how this argument breaks down exactly.
You're arguing with somebody that can't. That's a very quiet fight.
And also take whatever mom does, whatever gestures, and then when she turns around, be like, "Go fuck yourself, mom." Who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a woman
you can scream.
If she turns her back, you can say whatever you want.
Anything. She turns around, you be like, "My mother's a fucking bitch, you fucking bitch." Then she turns around and she's like, standing there with her arms crossed. No one knows.
The way this is so simple.
It's a very simple thing. Yes, you can say everything you want and still not have to argue. It's perfect.
She's literally never had her mom go, "What'd you just say?" When you say something under your breath, and you're like, I didn't think you'd hear that. She literally didn't hear it.
Didn't hear shit. Can I make one point also?
Yeah.
That I don't know what the exact problem was between Walter and Phyllis when Walter killed Phyllis, but Walter stabbed his wife a whole bunch of times, then stabbed himself, which in some way, shape, or form, justified or not, I'm sure not, but whatever, that relationship drove him to the point of I'll stab you and me. That's a lot of crazy.
That's a breaking point.
So the next he was single until he found a woman who doesn't hear or speak.
Right, exactly.
But with the same name.
Good point. Yeah, if I could get her and she just wouldn't talk or fucking say a word.
Just fucking, I could say whatever I want, and then she won't say shit back. I think this could work. That's what he said.
I'll bet I'd be with her till I died.
Yeah. I'll be with her till my last breath in the living room. And I'll bring her to my house to make sure that she has her last breath there as well. This is fucking crazy, man.
Unreal.
So, yeah, she said that mom's throwing shit at me, little things.
Yeah.
So her and Edward went into their bedroom, which... in the house. So then she said Ruth followed her.
19.
19 with her boyfriend who's lived there since before, they were of legal age.
It's not good.
And not cool. So either way, Ruth follows her in there because she has to, because she can't yell to her from across the house. So they're acting like that's aggressive, but if she wants to speak still, that's the only way she can communicate with you is to follow you. So this is what Susan said, quote, she came in and she was still yelling and screaming. Okay, well, I don't buy your story right now.
I'm already out. You're guilty.
Yeah. Whatever noises she was making, it's nothing that insulting because you can't fucking even make out what it is because she doesn't speak. So, and I'm not making fun of her. Yeah. This is just a bullshit. That's a terrible excuse.
My favorite cousin, second favorite, because Shannon buys us computers and shit.
Oh, she's the best. Best.
My cousin's deaf, and his father died, and when they broke him the news in the hospital that he was dead, I'll never forget that noise as long as I live. And that's the noise that she was it's the frustration that deaf people can't, and they can't speak either. So the noise that they make, it is blood curdling when a deaf person is hurt. It is it's heartbreaking.
What it isn't is offensive.
No, it's not. It is the most heartbreaking thing in the world. Yeah. I would not want to argue with my mom if she was deaf.
They can't offend you with what they're saying. Like, there's nothing where you'd be like, that's it.
No.
Now you've crossed the line.
Yeah. It is
no.
It is.
She didn't call her a strumpet or something. Like, there was no.
It's sincerely the most soul-crushing noise in the world, and it hurts so bad.
So she's still yelling and screaming. Quote, she walked to the closet, and I saw Eddie's hand. And she fell and she screamed, and I tried to get up, and I ran out. So her story is she just turned around and Eddie must have fucking clocked her with the hammer because she fell down, and she was like, oh no, and ran away. She was whatever. So then she said Edward told her to start ransacking the house, start ripping it up. After that, she said that he told her, we're going to Teaneck and we're going to hang out with our friends and establish a fucking alibi. So she said he helped her out to the car because she was a wreck. Her mom was all fucked up. And then when they returned, he kicked in the back door in an attempt to make it look like there was an intruder. You know what I mean? Yeah. She said, quote, I kept saying I wanted to go back in the house, but he said, no, we're going to Teaneck with our friends.
Yeah.
Getting out of here.
The car's charged now.
It's all charged up, goddammit.
They drive a Tesla.
Yeah, I've had it plugged in all night. So she said that they drove to Teaneck, they discussed the alibi, met with a few friends, returned to the house, and she said that Zakarian at that point told her that her mother wasn't breathing, so she's good and dead. Now we can go to the neighbor's house and call the cops. We left, gave her time to die. It's all good now. So that's her story. Of course, she gave multiple conflicting reports, though, but that's her final, okay, I talked to my dad, here's my statement. That's her statement. All okay. Right. So the least inculpatory of anything she could have said. Like,
meanwhile,
I did nothing.
Inculpatory. So
of him, but not her.
Her.
She's almost a victim. He's bossing her around, stabbing people, hitting people with a hammer, dragging her to a car. Fucking, she's a fragile. In her story, she's this shell-shocked thing that saw a tragedy and ran out of the room, and then her boyfriend's ransacking the house, and she's so... Oh, you know what I mean? And she didn't even know what was happening. She's so scared of him with knives and hammers. That's her story.
What did the friends in Teaneck have to say about her behavior there?
She was fine. She said that we just came from dinner. She's a hell of an actress, Jimmie. In addition to being a beauty school participant, she's also a Broadway actress. She's amazing. You should see her fucking belt out memories. It's amazing.
A dead, deaf mute woman lying on a kitchen floor somewhere. That's terrible.
Jesus Christ. And they said, well, why'd you give conflicting accounts? And she said, well, you didn't let me talk to my dad. Which I don't know how your dad could get your memory better, but They said, well, why didn't you go for help for your mother rather than going to Teaneck to establish an alibi with your friends? Like, what the fuck is that about? And she said, quote, every time I went toward her, Eddie would stop me. Uh-huh. The blood of, then her lawyer said, quote, this is amazing. Her lawyer said, the blood of Ruth Jacobus is on the person who murdered her. It wasn't Susan. Some lab tests indicated that Eddie's jeans and sneakers had some blood on them. Okay. And there was some blood on her too. So, but still, that's blood from being dragged through the blood. I mean, not her fault, obviously.
Maybe. But his hyperbole is shot to fuck.
So here's the state's theory.
Okay.
The state has to take these two completely contradictory things. I mean, neither one of these are the same. It's the complete opposite statement, He
makes her culpable, she makes him culpable, and now we've got to figure out what's really happening.
At least in his story, they're both culpable. You know?
For sure. Yeah, they're both in a lot of trouble in his story.
In her story, I'm an innocent fairy princess, and I've just been completely taken him by the troll prince, and he's going to fucking make me murder my mom and then drag me under the bridge and marry him. Like, that's what's going on here. It's a very different story.
This is the worst Shrek story of all time.
It's a bad one, I realize. That's why I don't work for Pixar.
This is before the rewrite and John Lithgow got involved.
Could you imagine if I made kids' movies? They'd all have, like, murder and stabbings and shit. They'd be like, wow, I thought Bambi was brutal. This is rough. It's the fourth character to die. It'd be like Pulp Fiction. Like most of the characters just die. Like, I figured he'd make it. I liked him.
Disney movie I want.
Yeah, that's me too. I would love that. That's a good Disney. You know what, Jimmie? Let's write a Disney movie. Or Pixar.
Let's write a Disney movie where, like, the fish that all the kids are riding on in Nemo gets, like, caught by, and then they're just like stranded in the open water, and then shit just starts eating all of them.
They don't even think about it. They just take it and throw it right in the reservoir thing in their boat. Just 2 seconds. They just pop the hook off, toss them in there, and that's
Meanwhile,
it.
seals are just like eating all of Nemo's friends.
Just chomping them. It's a bloodbath. Nemo's scared shitless. Show why Nemo really should be scared to go out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or why the father should be paranoid. You know how many of us get fucking eaten? Let's make this shit real.
Crazy.
It's crazy out there. There's so much shit that can eat you. It's all murder. So that's what we're going to write. A murderous deep ocean kid story. Killing Nemo, it's going to be called. Kill Dory, and it's going to be Dory seeking revenge.
Hunting
it's going to be
Nemo, not
hunting
finding.
Nemo.
Hunting.
Well, you do like a Kill Bill thing, but with Dory instead of Uma Thurman. She's like, but she can't remember what she's got who she's trying to kill all the time.
Or she's murdered everything, but she can't remember any of it.
No, she keeps trying to murder the same people she's already murdered. Every time she goes for revenge, she finds out and she's like, oh, God, thank God he's dead. I'm going to fucking kill him. And it just keeps... That's the movie. You could make 10 of those, too.
It's a murderous Dory.
Murderous Dory. But still really upbeat and friendly. But
finally, the Ellen DeGeneres character is perfect.
Seeking vengeance. Yeah, exactly. Finally, it works.
A vicious asshole.
We say that. The funny thing is all the Ellen shit, and people still like Ellen, or people don't like Ellen, or whatever the fuck. But
she's
in show business, like, it wasn't known publicly, but like in show business, it was known for 15 years that Ellen was the meanest person in show. Like,
vicious.
No one doesn't say that.
Right.
No one doesn't
Everybody
say that.
Says
She's known as like a nasty person, like just mean just to be mean. Like everybody said that about her for years.
Maybe we make the cartoon just because of that.
Maybe we do that. That'd be great. I like it. A parody. This is good.
Call the agents to get a hold of her and see if she'll voice it.
Maybe she will. You know what? Maybe she's looking to go into something more edgy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's been doing all this other shit. Maybe she wants to get a little bit edgy, get a little more of an adult audience. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times when these people get caught in scandal, they just like to tell their side of the story and why they're a vicious asshole.
So let's do it.
Let's go, Ellen.
Let's work that shit. So now the state's theory of the murder is that they think, based on the force of the knife wounds and the force of the hammer blows, they feel like one of the knife in the heart was delivered by Susan, and the knife wound that sliced the liver was delivered by Eddie. Right. That's the state's theory based on how hard they were done
and strength of the
size and strength. And they also, their theory is that she did the head bashing as well, because it doesn't seem like he was tentative with the knife. So they were kind of thinking, why would he be tentative with the hammer? He seems to be going at it full bore with his stab, whereas she might be lack of strength as far as that goes, lack of size. She only weighs like 115 pounds or something. She's small. Right. So, she is charged with obstructing justice at first, just to hold her. They do that often with things, and then they get a guy with a murder weapon. They just charge him for the gun for a second. They get all their shit together before they charge a murder. She's being held in the Bergen County Jail for $25,000 bail, which is very low, but it should be raised when murder is charged as well. He's being held without bail at this moment in time. The prosecutor thinks that the prosecutor said that he thinks it's both people, but the defense here for Susan is saying no, it's only him. My client's totally innocent. This is all bullshit. So they said, quote, they say that after he killed her, after he ended up delivering the second knife wound, they ransacked the house, left their friends. They said their efforts were unsuccessful to secure an alibi because they didn't believe them. They said that their stories under questioning didn't add up, quote, and we charged them. Which, there you go. His adds up a lot. It really does. I mean, we killed them. Okay, well, that's at least enough to charge both of you. So he also said, the prosecutor, that the couple and Ruth had, quote, something of a stormy relationship for some time, known by their friends.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, for you can't live with that's hard. That's hard.
It's going to be weird. You want to act like an adult. She doesn't want you to act like an adult. You're at an age that you're still in the house. You don't get to be crazy adults and just fuck everywhere. And you want to.
Oh, that's the other thing. We don't know what kind of weird fucking was happening or anything like that.
I mean, she couldn't hear it, but you know what I mean? There was at least that.
Well, they could be loud as shit at night. Yeah. As long as the picture frames weren't rocking and knocking on the walls. As long as she didn't see things happening. Fuck, man. So, also the prosecutor found another thing that's possible motive, saying that Ruth Jacobus, in 7 months before she died, had $49,500 in the bank, which is a good amount of money, especially for 1984. And after her death, they found that she only had $16,000 left, which made no sense because she didn't. If you look at her banking before that, there was no times of her draining her bank account.
Right.
She's saving, not spending. So it doesn't make any sense. They also said that Susan always took her mother to the bank at multiple times and would help communicate for her.
Yes.
And that Ruth had recently loaned Ed Zakarian money to buy a car as well. So that's a thing. And so there you go. He also said that, and also Ed said the same thing. Eddie said that in February of 1984, he personally drove in the car that she loaned him money to buy, drove Ruth and Susan to a Hackensack attorney's office where Jacobus made out a will making Susan her sole beneficiary, even though she has 3 other children.
Oh, boy.
In the will, it specifically says, I intentionally do not give anything to these children, blah, blah, blah. Because otherwise you can challenge it saying that whatever, she forgot or something. But here she's saying, I'm intentionally saying fuck you and I'm giving everything to Susan. Mm-hmm. So that's just in the last few months. And then her bank account's been draining and now she's dead. So the charges here, they end up charging them both with murder, both of them. Prosecutor's office has not decided whether to seek the death penalty or not at this moment.
It's on the table, but no idea if we're going to go after it.
Yeah, they're arguing for high bail for both of them. They said Ed Zakarian didn't live with his parents. He has no wife or children, nothing to prevent him from fleeing if he was released, other than the fact that he's a 19-year-old and he's a moron, and where's he going to go? Yeah. Outside of that, there's nothing to keep him here. Also argued he's an encyclopedia salesman, so it's not like he has a regular job that we can check his punch card,
also,
to make sure he's there 9 to 5.
Requires him to be on the road. That's scary.
Knocking on strangers' doors.
Yes.
Which, no, thank you. That's perfect. Let's unleash him on the neighborhood. So they said that he'd been living with his girlfriend. His defense says he's only been living there 3 months, but he had left for like 2 weeks and came back. So he's living there on and off for like 2 years. But for the last 3 months, he's been living there solid. They said he could easily go back and live with his parents. His parents, by the way, who intend to stand by him and help him through this. Yes. He's a good kid from a good family. The attorney describes Ed Zakarian, saying he grew up in Teaneck as a, quote, a nice boy. He's a nice boy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a nice fucking boy, this kid. Look at him. Look at his shiny smile on his face. Yeah. He's got no prior criminal record. Look at he's a fucking sparkling beautiful.
He's a clean kid and he pulled this shit off?
Eddie, smile for me. Look at these fucking pearly whites. Look at this shit. He wore braces for 2.5 years so he could look like this for you fucking people. God. That's the kind of good family he's got over here. So he said his father, Thomas, he's a fucking architect, this guy. Yeah. He's a fucking architect. Yeah. He comes from a good family. He stood with his son in the courtroom and everything. And his mother said, quote, I am sure my son is innocent, as sure as I'm standing here. He said, quote, I know my son. He would never do such a thing. Well, so they said, well, all right, charges dismissed. His mom said he's a good kid. We're going to believe her.
Yeah.
Who knows him better than his mom, right?
And an architecture firm is vouching for him, so clearly.
They said they'd vouch personal, so, I mean, we're going to take their word for it. It's
Mom,
on
Dad,
you, though, if you're wrong.
Tell me this. Why doesn't he live with you, then, if he's such a good goddamn kid?
Because he really wants to keep fucking this girl in a loud fashion. And you guys can hear me doing that.
They have loud sex, so we had to kick him out. That place worked perfect for him.
Fucking amazing. So they charge him, both of them, with 1 count of murder, 4 counts of hindering the apprehension of themselves and each other, and 1 count each of tampering with evidence of a homicide for tearing apart the house. So they said besides altering the crime scene, they're accused of giving false information to law enforcement officers by saying they weren't home at the time of the murder. And they must be tried separately because the statements they gave to police in court can only be in court only against themselves, not the other. So there's a weird ruling about how they can do their shit. So if they're together, if they try them together, then they can only use the statements against themselves because they're the same defense. Okay. But if they try them separately, then they can use each of their statements against each other. You can have it to where he says she did it, she says he did it, and you can have those outcomes both come out at the same time.
Okay.
You could have her trial come out, she solely did it, and his trial come out, he solely did it, and that would be okay. Yeah. But you can't have that if they're together, obviously, because that doesn't make logical sense. But if they're separate, you can do that.
Okay,
so you can convict 2 people.
All right. So they are not doing them together?
No, they're trying them separately. Otherwise, they couldn't do that.
Right, I see.
His attorney here, he says that his client wasn't there. He doesn't know. He just helped her cover up the crime. He said for her, he did it for her. He said, quote, he was a young, ingenious boy who was in love. That's what his attorney said. Now he's an ingenious. Wow. Jesus Christ. That's ballsy.
He sells the fucking encyclopedia.
The kid's a prodigy, for Christ's sake.
Does he know every page of the encyclopedia? Is that why he's selling it?
He memorized. That's how he sells them.
If you turn to page 2042, you'll find.
I swear to God, just take anything in the C/D volume, point to it. I'll tell you exactly what it fucking says. I swear. Dodo, the extinct bird from the 17th. So he also says that he was very fond of her as well. He's like, I didn't even dislike her. He was very fond of her. Quote, he had no motive to commit murder. He certainly wasn't the beneficiary of any insurance policy like some people involved in this case.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, she's not only the sole heir to all of her shit, her property, her stock, and things like that, she's also a beneficiary of an insurance policy, Susan. So she's got a lot of reasons to do that. Her attorney, though, Robert Galantucci. Robbie Gals. He said that, listen, my client took a polygraph test. Okay? It's over with. There. She took a polygraph. Huh? She passed the polygraph. Okay. So, I mean,
she passed.
She passed, which, I mean, that means literally nothing. So
she's got a comp for a dad.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, it literally means nothing, a polygraph test either way. So he said, quote, my client was innocent at the time of the offense, innocent when she went to court for bail, innocent when Luciana, that's the other lawyer's client, acknowledged some kind of responsibility, will be innocent going to trial, and will be innocent when the verdict comes in.
Okay.
Suck my balls, I believe, they cut that part off, though.
He is Babe Ruth calling the shot.
Yeah, he is, man. He says that, listen, right now, she's doing great. She's, you let her out, she's going to be all right. She said there was an argument probably. We think this killing happened spontaneously. Okay. You know, nobody knew it was going to happen. The guy did it, and she just didn't know what to do, so she tried to help her boyfriend out by covering it up.
Okay.
Come on, help the kid out. He said, quote, it was just something that happened, that tragically occurred. There's no premeditation or any of that nonsense. Any of that nonsense. Don't even bring that up. Premeditate. None of that nonsense there. You got to use that word more often. Nonsense. He's the lawyer.
No.
Oh, you mean
no.
Zakarian? Well, we'll talk about it here. He said that she witnessed it. She had nothing. This Galantucci said, quote, she never handled a weapon, and she certainly didn't murder her mother.
Okay.
Never mind that shit here. So, by the way, he also said they searched around. They didn't find any battery charging equipment around. So, how is he doing that? And they couldn't find any vomit. So where was he puking?
Oh.
So we don't know
if... Did he take it with him?
I think he put it right in his pocket. He scooped it up into a Ziploc bag and took it with him. He said, I'm taking my leftovers with me.
Put them in some tin foil. Put them in the trunk.
Make a swan out of this, and then I'm going to go home. All right. So, January of 87. All right, here we go. This is 2 months later. It comes out at this moment that Susan is 2 months pregnant.
You betcha.
She's 2 fucking months pregnant.
God damn it.
Which is wild. Not his baby, by the way.
Oh, what?
This happened after she was in between the murder and
arrest.
And the full jail experience, and then she gets let out on bail.
Shit.
Because her original bail was $25,000. Mm-hmm. Her dad put that up, got her out, and then she went and got knocked up real quick.
Holy fuck.
And then ended up getting charged with murder and getting put back in, and they had to redo her bail.
And then she missed her period.
Yeah. Talk about so much has happened in the last couple months. The holidays are so stressful, aren't they? You kill your mother, you're charged with murder, you get knocked up, you lose your first boyfriend, you find another one. There's a lot going on.
1985 is the worst.
It's wild, man. So she's wearing they're talking about in court, she's wearing a pink and gray dress. The pale-faced Susan Mager entered a plea of innocent before Judge Charles DeGisi of State Superior Court in Hackensack. Now, her lawyer here said that her $25,000 bail was posted within 1 hour of her arraignment for this, by the way. She's out.
She needs to get out.
Yeah, she's like, I got to get knocked up quick. Maybe that'll make me more, whatever. Well, she is. Yeah. Because her lawyer says that's fair. This is how her lawyer argued for this. Quote, she's pregnant, Judge. She's not going to run.
Okay.
She's going to live on the run being pregnant.
She can't.
And her And her father, who's a police detective, personally assured the court that his daughter would show up in court when required and that she would be living with him and he'd be keeping an eye on her. So he accompanied her to the hearing. So the judge agreed, even though there's a murder charge being added, to not raise the bail from $25,000 and to let her stay out of jail.
Holy shit.
She's facing 26 and a half years in prison. That's later on. Those are all the charges besides murder. And then they add murder to it.
Yeah.
So there's all of that shit. So it's a lot, man. The lawyer for her said that she's a first-time offender. Quote, there's a presumption of non-incarceration. It's murder. There is no presumption. I assume if I kill someone, I'm probably going to spend at least some time in jail, at least awaiting trial, even if I get out. OJ spent a fucking year in jail, and he's a millionaire. So you kill people, generally you spend a little time in jail.
Right.
There's generally no presumption of non-incarceration. I've never heard that shit before. So the father was happy. They were having a tearful reunion, hugging each other and everything like that. Her lawyer said he was thrilled with it. The judge said the bail, in explaining this, because people were like, well, how do you do this? How do you justify this? The judge said the bail's not necessarily determined by charges, but by the circumstances surrounding each defendant. So he ordered that she live at home with her father, and the judge said, if you can't do that, ma'am, I'm going to have your bail increased. So they always say that. They'll let people out on bail if they have a history of showing up for court. That's the thing. So you'll see a lot. Oh, yeah, you'll see a lot of times when people get horrible crimes and they get put in jail, but they get bail because they have a history of showing up for court. If you have a history of not showing up for court, that's when they'll fuck you on the bail really, really, really bad. But generally it's
severe and you've got lots of interest to run.
Generally, that's the thing. They weigh that. What's your interest of running to money? If you have, your parents' house on the fucking line, maybe you won't run. But if you don't, you might take off with a murder charge. But if you have a racketeering charge and you always show up for court, they let you out because you're going to show up. That's how they do it. So she also is forbidden from visiting her current boyfriend who lives in Brooklyn. No visiting him. But the lawyer said, they got to be able to visit. They're planning on getting married.
They got a kid on the way.
It's a beautiful fucking love story, Your Honor. Yeah. What are you talking about? It's for the children. What are we doing here? They get married. Oh, this is pretty. They got it's a June bride. She's all planned. There's flowers everywhere. Brooklyn. So the prosecutor said he wanted to object to the different bails. He said the courts are dedicated to the proposition of equal justice under the law for men and women, including pregnant women. If this is Zakarian's lawyer, if women want equality with men, their bail should be equal too. That's what he said. So the judge refused to increase the bail for her. And wouldn't decrease the bail for him.
What the fuck, man?
Which is crazy. The lawyer said, pregnant women are no more trustworthy than men. That's a great quote. This lawyer, pregnant women are no more you knock them up, they're not trustworthy anymore. I saw you with your thumb. It all goes out the window.
All the integrity, right the fuck out.
It's crazy. It's super weird. It's really weird. You start filling those insides up with baby. There's no room for integrity in there. You know what I mean?
We inject the lack of integrity is what it is.
Pretty soon they're no better than a man.
It takes till that second bar on the pea stick, and then they're just no more trustworthy than a guy.
What I do, I'm with a woman. If she takes a test, comes back pregnant, I immediately punch her in the mouth just to show her what it's like to be a guy, because now she's a guy. No more trustworthy. Say, we're going to fuck me over, pal. I know you are. He makes it sound like regular women are plenty trustworthy, way more trustworthy than men. But yeah, you knock them up and forget about it. It's all out the window.
Those pea sticks are just integrity meters. That's what they're called.
Yeah. Two things that don't go with pregnant women. Yeah. Cat litter and integrity. You can't have either one of them. around the house. It just isn't going to work.
Looks like you tested negative for integrity right here.
Oh, there we go. It's 2 stripes for a baby, so congratulations. 1 stripe for integrity, though, so sorry. We're going to put you in the pokey. So, yeah, he said a pregnant woman can flee the jurisdiction as well as a woman who is not pregnant. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, yeah, she's not on bed rest. She's like 4 months pregnant or something, so... they said that the bail decision, the judge said that the bail decision was partly based on the pregnancy, but then he said later on he considered it a medical risk, a medical condition that reduces the risk she'll flee. Quote, where does a woman 6 months pregnant run to? Anywhere. There's hospitals literally everywhere. They can run anywhere. Where would they? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
He thinks only obstetricians are in New Jersey.
That's it. I mean, if she doesn't go to a doctor, then what's going to happen? It's not like it'll stay in there forever until she explodes. That's what happens. The babies, they don't come out.
What's he going to do about her prenatals and shit?
If you're not at home, they don't come out. So now they reduced hers, like I said. Now they're asking for his to be $25,000 as well. Mm-hmm. They argue. His lawyer says, I've never had a murder case before you where the bail was $25,000, he says to the judge. So he's like, clearly you're giving an advantage there. Help my client out with this advantage. It's very important the scales of justice be evenly balanced at this point in the case, he says. It's crazy. And then he says, I think then they ended up reducing his bail to $75,000, which his parents then put up, and he gets out. So he says, I think the judge acted fairly and did the proper thing. I'm satisfied with the circumstances. That's what his lawyer says.
In the trial of the murder, can they bring up that the bail was set at a certain level, meaning this person initially they didn't see this person as a, do you know what I mean? Can they use that as like evidence of something?
I don't know if you can use that as evidence. I don't know who that would benefit either, though, because that could go either way.
True.
You wouldn't probably want her to seem like she was getting special treatment.
Right.
And you wouldn't want him to look more guilty if you're his lawyer either. So
that's my point. Like, can the prosecution be like, clearly he's a dangerous man, and the judge in his arraignment assumed so and gave him no bail? You know what I mean? Can they say that?
I don't think so. I think it's just assumed. Yeah, because I guess if they're in jail the whole time, the jury knows they're in jail. They're seen brought in by a bailiff with their fucking hands cuffed sometimes. So
orange outfits. That doesn't look good.
No. Well, usually for trials, they're allowed to have clothes because otherwise you look like a criminal. It's a tough position at trial.
They didn't let the Golden State Killer put some clothes on. That fucking guy was in an orange suit, handcuffed to a fucking wheelchair. He looked pretty fucking bad.
They were like, "Fuck you, dude." Some states, they don't let you have that provision.
Really?
I think that's kind of important to let someone look like a human being in court, because that way you can judge them as a human being, not as a prisoner. Yeah. It just looks worse if you're in a jail outfit. Right. You just look more guilty. It's just one of those things.
As a juror,
your brain immediately.
If you saw a guy in an orange jumpsuit handcuffed to a fucking wheelchair, would you give any leniency? I mean, if you feel little guilt about... he's going to die anyway, right?
Well, I want to see if he can walk around, too.
Yeah.
I'd say somebody try to dump him out and see what he does, because...
Bailiff, can you kick that over real quick?
Because, if he does fall and he can't get back up, I don't really care. He killed a bunch of women, so he can go find guys. He can go fuck himself, honestly. But if he, pops up like, you motherfucker, then we know he's faking. So either way, I feel like we're getting something out of it.
He just lays on the floor and moans. And don't you kind of feel like a dick? No, not really.
Not really.
Not on those charges.
Scoop his ass back up, put him in the chair, and let's convict him and send him wherever the fuck we're sending him to sit in a fucking room and rot for the next 10 years. Who cares?
But if I'm on that jury, hearing all those horrible things and seeing the man looking like that, that's the easiest guilty verdict I've ever given.
Yeah, It's really weird when we bust people way past the time when they did stuff.
Yeah.
Because you look at them then and you're like, this is pathetic. Like, this dude couldn't pull this off now. And not so much like, if they're still physically capable. Like when they got BTK, he was plotting more at the time. Guy, he was very capable. He was in his 50s. Still very, very dangerous. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. But when they get when they recently there was a 98-year-old Nazi secretary, and they were like, well, yeah, we need to get her in custody, and it's like, really, Can't we just go, she's fucking bad? Just have a person posted outside of her house going, she's a fucking Nazi twat, this one. Nazi twat, Nazi twat. When she leaves to go to the shop, you just yell out, Nazi twat, everybody, and point at her.
With a shame bell.
A shame bell and a sandwich board saying Nazi twat, pointing to her from both sides.
Just following her around.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for her medical fucking care in a prison somewhere. No, that's on you, Nazi. You pay for your own fucking wheelchair.
And they did that in America, right? That wasn't even in Germany?
I think it was in Germany or so. I don't remember. But there was another guy recently that
was in New York.
I was just reading about that happened in Italy. They brought a guy back to Italy for his war crimes in Italy, and he was like, he's like 102 or something. And I'm like, he doesn't even know where the fuck he is. And these were literally war crimes that they were doing to my family who was there at the time. So trust me, that I can speak on this shit. And it's like, you ask my grandmother, what do you want to do with that guy? She'd go, nah. She'd wave it off. What the fuck do I care?
What are we going to do now?
I'm 100. He's 100. What does it matter at this point? So
see who wins the end of this? I don't know.
Just kick him in the balls. I don't know. I mean, the guy, if you're 102, that's punishment.
That might kill him. Who knows?
Just shame him. Have everyone yell bad shit at him and have people just go, you fucking scumbag, whenever he walks out of his house. Have little kids throw like berries and shit at him when he leaves. Like, ostracize him. That's enough. He's not a dangerous person. He's an asshole. So I think that'd be worse for him.
And that lady just like took phone calls or shit, right?
She dealt with paperwork.
This is Matilda or whatever.
Well, yeah. And I think she dealt with paperwork where she knew where things were going and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not good. I mean, if they caught her when she was 50, let's throw her in the fucking clink. But it's just like, at this point, we're just paying for her final stages of medical care. That's all we're doing.
We're buying her Metamucil and heart pills.
Yeah. Way worse to just yell Nazi twat at her every time she leaves the house. I feel like way worse, right?
That's just universal. You could say that to either, really. That's pretty great.
They write that on her Starbucks cup when she goes there. Nazi leaves with her head held low. Nazi twat. There you go, you fucking Nazi twat. Yeah, everyone be mean to Matilda. They have like billboards up.
Nazi twat.
Nazi twat.
Same amount of syllables, Matilda.
It's all Matilda. That's fucking amazing. So, yeah, anyway, here we are. He ends up getting his bail reduction. He's very, very excited here, obviously. $75,000 bail. He's out. Now here comes the inheritance. We find out that he was not lying. He actually did take them to a lawyer's office in February. The lawyer confirmed that, and the lawyer also confirmed the date. It was February 9th, 1984, 2 months after her husband died, Walter, the murderer, the first murderer, 9 months before she died. They went to the lawyer's office. She left everything she owned to Susan, and all the other children were left out of the will. It says, quote, I specifically chose not to make any gift to Robert Mager or Carol Mager. So you get nothing. No explanation here. Now, it also says that Susan was named executor of her mother's estate. But at this point, they said, because she was trying to get the inheritance now, and they said she's not entitled to inherit the home and about $10,000 in stocks. The judge said the time-honored rule that a wrongdoer may not benefit from his crime there. They were finding out that that's not talking about her, by the way.
Who's this?
Okay. That's talking about that Ruth should have never inherited the estate from her husband because he should have never gotten anything from his dead first wife that he killed.
What are they going to do with this?
They never took anything away from him. They just allowed him to come out and keep everything that they had joint property with. He inherited her side. And then when he died, she got it all. So they're like, it wasn't even his to give you. So now they're saying that now the daughter can't have that because it wasn't even her mother's to keep because it wasn't the guy's who died's fucking property either.
So what is it, in fucking probate now?
It's going back here. Now, Edward does a little thing here. Edward, rather than fight this, he pleads guilty to a reduced charge of aggravated manslaughter, okay? Yeah. In exchange for testimony against Susan during her trial because she's going full innocent on this bitch here. So, he said that he murdered her out of love and he pleaded guilty when he did it. He said, I did this out of love, and it was stupid, and shouldn't have done it.
She doesn't love me because she's knocked up by another guy in Brooklyn.
Yeah, very quickly, too. I was I was still telling the police what happened, and she was going, fucking 2 stripes, really? God damn it. Shit.
Looks like my integrity's out the window. You want to get married?
But we'll talk about Edward. Edward's not such a great guy either.
No?
We'll talk about no. Anyway, he says that he's willing to talk. He's willing to do all of this. He asked the judge, but her lawyer says, well, if he's going to testify against my client, I'd like you to unseal his juvenile record so I can impeach his credibility as a witness. They said, well, why do you want to do that? It's because we find out that his juvenile record, he was actually convicted of threatening to kill his parents.
They love him.
Yeah, he's actually convicted of it. He would never do anything like this, I believe his mother said, quote unquote. I know my son.
He never would.
He'd kill me, but no one else's parents. Come on.
Oh, Edward.
Jesus Christ. So they're asking that to be unsealed, and the prosecutor doesn't want to unseal it because it's a juvenile record and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, well, we have to be able to discredit him. And if we can't discredit anything that happened when he's a juvenile, it's like he's only existed for the last year and a half. So how the fuck do we impeach only a year and a half of his life when his bad shit happened before that? Which is a fair point, honestly. How do you go after someone who has 90% of their life sealed?
Yeah.
That's difficult. So they said that he gave numerous false statements to police, particularly concerning his juvenile record. He said that he had no criminal record at first when they talked to him. He's never been in trouble. Remember, I've never been in trouble before. Remember that quote he said? I said, remember that quote? He said that he said that he'd been arrested twice as a youth, quote, for running away and once for burglary, like as a kid, like some prank shit he was doing. So they said the information was very clearly untrue. In fact, Zakarian has a more extensive juvenile record. The defendant should be permitted to inspect Mr. Zakarian's juvenile record and to have the opportunity to attack his credibility based on his juvenile conviction for a terroristic threat of murder to his parents.
Right.
Credibility is at the very heart of this case. And that's kind of a relevant charge is the thing. Yeah. Like, he killed a parent and he, lived in the house with who was, his de facto parent at the time. Yeah. Kind of makes sense.
And
so
he threatened to do exactly what he ended up doing.
Exactly. They uncover something else, though, that's even worse.
Oh, my God.
In the time, oh, my God, Jimmie.
Oh, no, he's pregnant.
I wish he was pregnant. This is so much worse than that, Jimmie.
Yeah.
In the time between him being bailed out for $75,000 and him pleading guilty of aggravated manslaughter, while he was out and living back with his parents in Teaneck, he impregnated a 13-year-old girl.
Oh, boy.
A 13-year-old girl. He impregnated an 8th grader,
He
Jimmie.
raped an 8th grader.
He's 20 years old. Yeah, he raped an 8th grader.
Jesus Christ.
I'm reading right from the newspaper, says he impregnated a 13-year-old Teaneck girl and warned her and her mother, quote, not to make trouble for him. Okay, that's some dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Like, to have the balls to do that to a child and then not deny it, but go to their mother without fear that, this woman's going to shoot me in the face with a bazooka. You're going to go to her and say, fucking, don't make trouble for me. Yeah, I knocked up your 8th grader. Don't make trouble for me.
The lack of shame is staggering.
Holy motherfucking shit. They cite this incident as another reason to attack his credibility. I mean, you believe somebody that fucking rapes 8th graders? Really? And also tries to cover it up.
Oh, the prosecutor's got to be furious. You motherfucker.
I let this guy out on bail.
You ruin everything.
This is ridiculous. So, and it's all because the prosecutor gave her such low bail, they had to lower his bail.
Yeah.
That's why it happened. That's why he got out. So the senior investigator, Roger Kane of the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, he testified in a hearing outside the jury's presence that he interviewed the girl and her mother this young girl. They claim that the girl had consented to have sexual relations with him, which is impossible when you're 13 and you're a sophomore in college. That's not consent. But refused to press charges against him. And she had told him that she had an abortion, so there's no baby to prove anything, and she's not pressing charges, so go fuck yourself. That's what the girl told her in a true New Jersey fashion.
Yeah.
She said, I already had an abortion, go fuck yourselves. Leave me alone. This poor girl, I feel terrible for this fucking girl. Yeah, she did. She had an abortion, which she's 13. Her mother probably said,
13 years old, the poor thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to...
No, I'm just saying, like, that's so traumatic. The poor thing
there's no
through that.
Yeah, anything at 13 with a baby you shouldn't have to deal with, whether it's getting pregnant, abortion.
27, though?
Oh, my God, Jesus Christ, that's insane. That's insane. So this whole thing is fucking disgusting. So her attorney insisted that Susan's innocent, and look at this shit. My client is an upstanding young lady. She's pregnant. She passed a lie detector test. He's raping 8th graders, threatening his parents. He's a horrible person. Obviously, it's him. And he also says Mr. Zakarian has a noose around his neck when he testifies, and he will try to lift that thing off. He says that he's going to try to testify against Susan to buy himself some time off of his sentence. So he said, yeah. Now, the Susan's trial comes up, and his lawyer says, listen, there's an argument. I believe it happened spontaneously. I don't think anything was planned, because if it was planned, then he would have to know that she was in on the planning, because he wasn't going to plan it without her. They both participated in the cover-up.
If you plan a murder, you don't plan a murder when somebody else is going to be there.
Exactly. So the whole thing is very much to her advantage to say that he just snapped and started stabbing away, because that's what the house does or whatever. So he says it was just something that happened that tragically occurred. So she never handled a weapon. That's that part. Prosecution says, well, we believe that Susan hit her mother with a hammer 5 times and then stabbed her in the back when she didn't die from those blows. So after that, she got her boyfriend and said, hey, finish my mom off, help me off, and then finish me off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they went off to a fucking, then they went out and, lied to police and all this type of shit. There's a delay in the trial here. I guess Susan has some sort of surgery. She has some sort of weird abdominal condition and has to have some kind of... This is like a year later. She has some sort.
So then she had like a hernia or
during
some
the trial. Yeah, she had some abdominal injury that she had to get. Yeah, she had the baby, and then the trial wasn't until like January of '87 or some shit. So trial was like 2 years later after the murder. So that kid was, potty training by the time fucking
damn near driving.
She had some sort of abdominal thing. A baby was in there. It was really weird.
It's still lodged.
Some sort of abdominal thing. So she was recuperating from that, and during that, in the press, they brought up the inheritance as well. They brought that up, and they're saying that she's not even getting the inheritance. Okay. They're like, yeah, but she wanted to. They're just not giving it to her. So that's not like shouldn't get to brag about that. Yeah. They called a witness here. They bring in a patrolman who produces the bloody hammer that was recovered from the bedroom. And Susan sobbed and cried in court when she saw it and couldn't look at it and said it was just too hard on her.
That's a lot.
Now, Edward testifies, and he says exactly what he said. She said she wouldn't die. She's beaten her. I came over. I inflicted the final knife wound. Next thing I know, she's tearing shit up. I'm vomiting. That's what happened. The defense here, old Galantucci, he maintains that Susan, played no part in it. She was just there. She will take the stand in her own defense here. She's going to do that because she's got nothing to fucking hide. They said Edward's only testifying so he can get a shorter prison term. Don't fucking, don't believe him. The prosecutors agreed to drop 5 charges and allow him to plead to a reduced charge. So, I mean, what the fuck here? How can you believe this guy? So they bring up that they didn't find the battery charger. They're trying to impeach his story. Right. They didn't find vomit. They didn't find the battery charger. When asked about those 2 points on redirect here, Zakarian said, or recross, Zakarian said he never told police that he was recharging the battery or that he had vomited, even though that's in every fucking single report.
Absolutely said it.
Absolutely. He said it to somebody because it's in every goddamn report. Susan testifies on her own behalf. Okay? She's got a story now, and she says that she saw her boyfriend at the time. She saw him take aim at her mother with a hammer. She just saw him take aim, which before she said she didn't see it start. She just saw her mom fall. She said that Edward went into a, quote, crazed state. A crazed state, just went nuts. She said that crazed state, attacked her with a hammer in the bedroom, and then she said that she ran out of the room after she watching her mother fall to the floor. She said that he followed her in the living room and shook her around a little bit and said, "You better get it together." Yeah. And then ran into the kitchen to get a knife. And she says, "I saw a little peeler knife in his hand, and then he went toward the room." And she says, quote, "I couldn't see him. He was just running around in a crazed state." She keeps repeating crazed state. That must be a phrase that her lawyers told her is very important. Yeah, it's he was crazed. He was crazed because they're going to go, "Why did he do this?" And because he was crazed. Look at the house. Look up the address. Google the address, motherfucker. Okay. Look up one of your Encyclopedia Britannicas about this shit. So she said, quote, "In a crazed state, I was scared. Every time I would try to get up, Eddie would tell me, 'Stop. You stay right there.'" So the prosecutors here are like, "Are you sure this didn't happen? Are you sure that didn't happen?" And she's like, "Oh, no, I didn't witness it. I didn't play any role in it." She said that I fell to the floor after he was shaking me, and I just remained there crying and calling out his name, but I couldn't see what he was doing. I stayed in there. I didn't want to help my mom or anything. I was just like, "Oh, God, I'll just stay right here while somebody stabs my mom a whole shitload." Okay. So the closings come here, and the prosecutor said that they are that they almost committed the perfect crime because they don't really have any direct evidence against them. So they said he almost pulled it off. He says, quote, "Susan brought him into this blood pact because she knew if they both stuck together, nobody could prove they did it." Of course, they didn't stick together, and that's why we're here today, which I love, which is totally true. Yeah. If they came home and said no and stayed with those stories of, "We don't know what you're talking about," they wouldn't have charged them probably. They had no proof. They would have been suspicions. Yeah. No, there's no fingerprints. Well, there's fingerprints on stuff, but it's shit in the house. Right. They live there.
Yeah, good point.
So, and even the blood on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked in, I knelt down, I pulled the knife out, I grabbed the hammer, I got blood on me from that. Right. We tried to help her. I mean, they couldn't. How do you prove it? There's no way to. So, I don't know what kind of DNA you could pull out of it now, but then they lived there.
Yeah,
so
in 85, there's nothing you can do.
No, they can say we were there right before and right after, and there's no way to prove that they weren't. They lived there. So in the closing arguments, the defense said that the prosecution said the evidence showed that Susan hit her mother in the head with the hammer 5 times, stabbed her in the back before asking her boyfriend to finish her off. She's the sole beneficiary in the will. She'd have control of the bank account. Open and shut. Mm-hmm. Verdict comes in here. Okay. Not even that long of deliberation. They deliberate for 2 hours.
That's fast. 2
hours. And the first charge is, of course, murder. They find her on 6 counts of hindering apprehension. They find her guilty on that. They get her there, and then there's another charge they find her guilty on, and then for the murder charge they find her not guilty of murder.
Oh my God!
Not guilty at all of murder. The jury foreman afterwards said, quote, "We think Edward Zakarian was a liar." That's all. They said they didn't believe him.
Wow.
And that's all. It's the only evidence they had was his word, and they just didn't trust him.
Except for shallow shots. Like a crazed man with a hammer will destroy a head.
Yeah. crazed.
An angry teenage girl that's 115 pounds, well, they'll kill you.
And tentative.
Yeah.
Too, because she doesn't know if she wants to do this. She's not in a crazed state.
Yeah.
That's the thing with her. It was a tentative, and that's how it looked by the crime scene.
Yeah.
A tentative attack, and then the last thing was, fuck it, done.
I don't believe her for a second.
Now, he still is on the line for aggravated manslaughter, which he'll be sentenced for next month. He faces a term of 10 to 20 years in prison, and she's on, getting put on lower charges here. So the sentencing comes around, and she is sentenced to, well, let's do it here. The Superior Court judge said, this is a woman who stood by while her mother was brutally murdered. The defendant now pleads for mercy, but Ruth Jacobus pleaded for her life. No one could hear her silent screams. No one could help her except her daughter, who chose to ignore her. That sounds bad. Yeah, during that, Susan began sobbing because it does not sound real good here. The judge sentences her, you, ma'am, may fuck off 5 years in prison.
Wow.
5 years in prison, plus also sentenced her to 1.5 years concurrent with the main sentence. So there's that. So she's sentenced to 5 years in jail.
Right.
She's also allowed to continue her bail during appeal. So she's allowed to stay out of jail.
Ouch.
You, ma'am, may go back to your dad's house and think about what you've done and make sure to do your beauty school project for tomorrow.
Holy shit.
You have to do this. Her lawyer, Galantucci, this guy's got fucking cannolis the size of I don't know what. Not even cannolis, of one cannoli and a couple of fucking giant balls.
A tray of cannoli.
A tray of cannoli. This fucking asshole called the sentence unfair and then called it, quote, a judicial lynching like from past time, but in the modern day. That's what he said. A judicial lynching. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what you're talking about, A?
Yeah.
And B, she's sitting home. What the fuck? The judge said only one person could hear her. Only could hear her silent screams. Her daughter chose to ignore and then let her go home.
Right.
How you fucking talking about?
He gave her a gift. Did he doze off during sentencing and then just stand up and go, miscarriage of justice?
Yeah, miscarriage. Oh, shit. Where am I? I had that dream again where I was naked under my robe and there was a miscarriage of justice happening in my courtroom. You know that dream that happens. So the Edwards sentencing comes around because he doesn't get sentenced till after this. He is called by his lawyer a, quote, foolish young man who was under the domination of this young woman who was young in age, but, quote, old in mischief. Young in age, but old in mischief. He pulled that out of his ass and said that to a man who went to law school. That's amazing.
Meanwhile, your client rapes 13-year-olds, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah. What about those charges?
Right.
Jesus Christ. I'm not representing him on that particular matter. That's another thing.
That's for somebody else.
So the prosecutor portrayed Ruth as a 48-year-old deaf, mute, gentle, caring woman who worked to overcome life's adversities, a handicap, a divorce, a widowhood. This is right from his quote. Yeah. Only to be killed by a man who was, only to be killed by someone who was a beneficiary of her kindness. Ruth Jacobus' fate was not kind to her, the judge said. She is a woman to be admired for overcoming the adversities of life. It was a cruel and unhuman end to a valiant life. He ignores these pleas from Edward, as we see here. Edward begins crying, and he says, quote, I am very sorry about everything, and God knows I am paying for it now with my parents and me. I told the truth, and that's all. Okay. Paying for it now, like my parents have grounded me. Yeah. So that's like in school, like you don't need to suspend me. I'm totally grounded. Like they took my Genesis away. I can't do anything. Like, what are you talking about?
You think suspending me is a good idea? When I go home, my parents are going to kick my ass through this suspension.
Yeah. They're just going to beat my fucking ass. My dad's going to beat me with one of those squaring tools that the architects use. Big square rulers. He's going to whack me with it. The judge says, quote, he showed a complete indifference to human life. A very callous attitude. He got his mercy in the plea bargain and will get no more. In other words, I'm going to fucking bang you. And he tells him, you, sir, may fuck off. The maximum 20 years in state prison.
That's good.
For him. Yes, he must serve 7 years before being eligible for parole.
Oh, my God, they're lenient. It's a plea.
He's good. I'm sure he got out right away, too, because he's a sympathetic parolee, being that he's got a family, he's got places to go, college, he's was a participant in it, wasn't the main person. The other person got fucking nothing, and then you got this. So
also, rape's not on his charges.
That's what I'm saying. Rape's not on. That's not going to come up in his parole hearing, probably. So he's probably going to get off. Now, the inheritance, where the fuck does that go, the whole thing, like you asked about here?
Yeah.
So the law is supposed to, they say the law is supposed to discourage people from killing people that they're going to inherit money from. It's also a simple matter of justice that a wrongdoer shouldn't be able to benefit as a result of his evil deed. Yeah. So Susan shows up to take over as administrator of her dead mother's estate, and the clerk tells her she can't, even though she is sole beneficiary of the will. So this would happen before her trial and everything. They shifted her request to a superior court judge, who ruled that until she has no right to the estate under the time-honored rule of the wrongdoer thing here. So they find that Walter has sons in Florida. Remember those two sons that went? Yeah, they have sons in Florida, and found out that Ruth should have never inherited the estate from her husband because he murdered his first wife, and so. This is fucking crazy. Based that the estate should have been passed down to the sons, Walter Jr. and Russell Jacobus, who were 27 and 20 at the time, and who were married and living in Florida and doing all this shit. The attorney here said, I think you're talking about a fundamental justice and fairness. It's grotesque and repulsive to the mind that a person could deliberately kill another person and then inherit money from them. So after release from prison, he had the house that he inherited half of from his wife, Walter, $10,000 in stocks and cash. And the house at this point in time then was worth $75,000 and been put up for sale. But the attorneys feel that its, quote, eerie history might repel potential buyers. So the Susan's attorney says that the estate of Ruth should be reimbursed $9,200 for improvements she made to the home. So they said she put things in there. The son's maternal grandmother said that the ruling was fair. The kids are now going to get this stuff here. And she says it will help the boys who have nothing. They were left with their grandmother to bring them up, and it wasn't easy. They've had a rough time in life, but they're still trying to make a go of it. Then she says, quote, let's just forget this whole nightmare. Literally, and that's a woman whose daughter was murdered. She's just like, it's just been for fucking 20 years now, literally. First my daughter's murdered, then I got the kids, this guy, now she's murdered, there's estates we're fighting for. This is bullshit. That mother, the Phyllis's mother, didn't even know what was going on until she read in the paper that this woman was killed and saw the address and did all that. She didn't even understand what happened. She didn't know like what the rules were or anything until she started seeing that and going, wait a second, why the fuck is that lady's murdering daughter going to get my daughter's shit? That's not fair. Right. So that's what happened. And at this point, it went to those kids. Susan ended up eventually having to serve a very minimal amount of time in prison. Yeah. Eventually, her appeals ran out, but that was like a year later. I think she might have went in for a year or some shit and then was let out pretty quickly. And that was that. I'm sure Edward Zakarian's walking around somewhere.
I'll bet he's not.
Somebody probably killed him by now for fucking diddling their daughter, I hope.
Into their children's bedroom. Oh, man.
But and if what not a fucking disaster.
He probably is in prison for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? In and out. And her, too. You don't do that and then just live fucking free, right?
This is crazy. These are both young people whoever did it, and whichever story is true, there is at least one very frightening person walking around that is capable of anything, and possibly, and I fear too, because I really think
think it's both.
The story, I think it's somewhere between both their stories. If I had to be honest, his is more self-incriminating, so I tend to believe him more because he put himself in it. But he could just be trying to. If he did 100% of it, he might try to put her in for half of it also. Sure. But I think it's one of those things, like most things, there's the truth, there's his story, and then the truth in the middle there. And I think it's one of those deals probably. It's like making a murderer. I think he's guilty and the cops planted evidence. So there you go. Both of those things can be very possible. They're not mutually exclusive. I think that's one of the things. They both lied and they both fucking did it, in my opinion. So just my opinion, though. Either way, that is one hell of a Thanksgiving story for you there.
Truly, my God.
Everybody out there, I really hope your Thanksgivings work out a little better than this.
Keep that in mind this Thanksgiving when your mom says you're using a few too many minutes on the phone bill.
In 2004. Right. That's what you'll say. Then if you time travel back to 2004 and they complain about using up your anytime minutes and can't you hold that shit till the weekends when the shit's free, don't kill your mom, please, or have your boyfriend do it for that matter.
Or whenever you're on the Wi-Fi and she tells you you're bogging down her Wi-Fi. Whatever it is.
There you go.
That's technical.
That's the modern day.
Fucking just be cool. Especially
also,
if she can't talk or hear. Be nice.
That's true.
Jesus, fuck.
Even think about it this way. If she's older, just go, you don't understand how that works. There's bandwidth. That's not how it works, okay, Ma? You don't get it. And she'll go, oh, okay, I guess I don't understand. And
it's somebody else in the neighborhood.
It's because of the neighborhood. There's a usage for a whole, it's a block by block. It's a square mileage. You don't get it, Mom. It's very technical. You have to be a millennial or younger to understand this shit. Sorry. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, don't kill your parents, obviously. What else? Oh, don't rape 8th graders.
Please
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. Don't murder your mother. Don't murder your wife and then try to kill yourself. That was another lesson. So we have 3 lessons today.
There's so many.
Don't kill your parents. Yeah. Don't rape 13-year-olds. Yeah. And if you're planning on murdering someone, then killing yourself, skip step A and go right to step B, and let's all...
And
call
also,
it a fucking day.
And then the last point is that if you feel like any of that is possible, cut your whole family out of your life and do Thanksgiving alone.
Absolutely. It's not worth it.
No.
Your mom will say, why didn't you come? That's better than the police saying, why'd you murder them? Why didn't you is way better than why did you? You know what I'm saying? Way better. Make something up. Make your parents think you're doing better than you are. Tell them you have to do like a summer internship for a senator or something. I don't know.
Certainly rather answer that question than the other. I'd rather tell my mom because you birthed 2 other assholes. That's why. I don't want to tell cops because she birthed 2 assholes.
Oh, that's beautiful,
It'd be
Jimmie.
the same reason.
That is some glorious holiday fun right there. You know what I'm saying? That is good shit. And if you enjoyed that, get on. We're thankful to you, and be thankful back by giving us a review somewhere. It helps a lot. Get on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I think you can do it now. Stitcher, whatever the hell you listen on. There's always some way to rate, review, tell them you like us. It's not for our ego. It just helps drive us up the charts. You can get a hold of the show many different ways. First of all, with our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Smalltown Pod on Facebook, and at Smalltown Murder on Instagram as well. So lots of ways to get a hold of the show here. Go to shutupandgivememurder.com for your tickets to live shows.
Yes.
You're not going to find a better time than one of our live shows. We are very humble men, both of us. We're very, very humble. We're not guys who are like, hey, my dick's huge. Like, that's not the type of guys we are. But we will slap our giant stage cocks on the table during our fucking shows because we're good. Yeah. Our goddamn live shows are good, and they're good enough where even we'll brag about them, and we hate ourselves.
You ask anybody that's been to a live show if it was any good, and I promise you, it was good.
It's good. It's a comedy show, first and foremost. Right. We tell an amazing story. All the visuals are there as well. You're going to see all these people, see all these locations, and we're going to make fun of shit like that. Yeah. Lots of jokes going on, and the vibe of being in a room with like 1,000 other people who like the same shit is pretty cool. It's just fun.
We take the
and
whole,
everybody has a good time.
Podcasting is a difficult thing to do, but we don't want to. We saddle the burden. We'll take the burden of giving you a good time because we want you to see other podcasts too. And other podcasts, I don't know what they do live, but I hope that they take that shit dead ass serious too, because we don't want to be the people that people are like, oh, I saw that show live and I'm never seeing another podcast.
Oh, we want you to see us first. Yeah. And then see others and go, oh, that wasn't as good, and then come see us again and again and again, and that's who we want to be. Yeah. But see us first. Don't take some other shit podcast.
Yeah, let us set the
live
bar.
show as let us set the bar for you because we know what the fuck we're doing.
I promise.
We're gonna throw down. So do that. We're everywhere, all over the country. I think there might be a couple tickets left in Brooklyn. I'm not positive. There was sold out. Then there was a couple returned because people had them for 2 years and they're allowed to do that.
There should be some available if you want to come on.
Possible. Check that. And I think Seattle, there's a few available. We got a Thursday, Friday show there in December. Portland was still not a ticket to be had, and I know Boston was at the Wilbur limit. Packed all 3 tiers. Pack the fuck up. We can't wait to see you guys out there. It's going to be so much fun. So check that out. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. Most of all, we have Patreon. My goodness, the episodes are fantastic this week. So much fun. And we try to give you a good variety there. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Anybody $5 or above, you get access to every goddamn thing we do. Right. For both shows, all the bonuses. You're going to get at least 4 shows a month and to get good karma.
Yes.
4 shows a month and good karma or 1 cup of coffee. That's literally what that equals. So put it this way. If you met one of us and you like our show and we were at a coffee place, you'd probably go, I'll buy you a cup of coffee because we buy you a cup of coffee. You'd say, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Save the coffee, get Patreon. And we benefit, and so do you, because we're going to give you really good shit, including this week, Crime and Sports bonus, which, of course, you get access to, will be on sports superstitions.
Oh, terrific.
So, really, that's just weird, making fun of strange human behavior. And
strange
that'll be fun.
Athletes.
Yeah. You definitely don't need to like sports to fucking listen to that. That's just funny shit. And then for the Small Town Murder episode, a very requested one and one that we've both been insanely interested in for a while.
Just finished,
and I've read, it's the whole thing. Yeah, it keeps kind of going here and there because there's so many different legal ramifications from the whole thing. But I've read like 8 books on it. We're going to do the Nexium cult.
Terrific.
And it's where Jonestown meets LuLaRoe in the fucking middle there. That's exactly what it is.
Everybody's wearing an ugly skirt.
Everybody's got an ugly skirt. It's cults meet multi-level marketing, and awesome. They just sit and really get close to Scientology. They're in the same bubble as Scientology, and that was kind of it's weird, dude. It's weird. We'll hear all about Keith Raniere's weird shit. And I'm going to kind of concentrate on the rise of it and how the fuck it happened.
Yeah, because of course, that's the baffling part.
Yeah, and that's the least reported on part, because when you hear about, sex slaves and branding and shit, that's really interesting. And we'll touch on that. Don't get me wrong, but we're really going to touch on the
And I don't understand why they do that, because that's the shocking crazy part, but fucking who would why? Why would you let somebody do that to you? That's what
There's also millions upon millions upon millions of dollars just bilked from people and thrown in the garbage and fucking lies, and they ruined people's lives and fucking did the same Scientology shit of following people and trying to discredit them and suing them for shit and all this stuff.
Their lives.
It's insane. We'll talk about it. All of that stuff. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Be there for that. And of course, you will get a shout out because we appreciate you and we appreciate what you do for us. And we want to let everybody know who these fine people are. Truly. And so you can do that, like we said there, or at PayPal. You can use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. That said, it's time and it's Thanksgiving. Tell me, Jimmy, who are the people that we are most thankful for now?
This week's executive producers are Corporal Carl Kirshner, Terry Swartos, Larry Butterfast, Jordan Bennett, Melissa Turner. Happy birthday, P.S.
Hey, happy birthday.
And Madison Freeman. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. Other producers this week are Part Gary's daughter, Megan Gary, was in a car accident, James. Her 4-month-old baby, Avon Lee, I think, Grace.
Don't tell me
she was
bad.
She's fine, unharmed.
God. I was
but
so
the
scared.
car, James, if you're going to Uber, motherfuckers, knock it off.
There
are 4-month-old kids in cars out there, and you can hurt people.
And
She's
pregnant
fine.
ladies, like
She's
John Bones Jones,
healthy.
we found out.
Miraculous.
That's amazing.
That? It's amazing.
Congratulations. We're happy.
If you saw the car, James, you'd lose your mind.
That's frightening.
Hang in there, Megan. Get better, and your husband as well. Also, other producers this week, Liz Vasquez. Thanks for coming to the show, Liz. It was great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
James Martyr, Sky Lolo, and the Haiti Kid. Shitta Perlman.
It is a little people tag team.
It's Gary Friedman. He's fucking amazing.
He knows the old wrestling.
King Kong Mosca. You know that
Angelo
one as well?
Mosca. 70s and 80s. It's fucking mainly 70s guy, star.
I think Gary's showing his age with these references. Pete.
He
so. Really.
These are before my time.
He digs so deep.
I'm a student of the game.
There you go. Peyton Meadows, prom night prom night dumpster baby. That's what it is.
Prom night dumpster baby. It's a Family Guy song.
All right. Happy birthday, Libby. Zumbalen Wojciechowski, I think. Jordan Schmood. Cliff Martz, Doug Jones, Avon Mergen, John Ure in Minnesota, I think. Happy birthday, Johnny. Jason Dingus.
Jason Dingus.
It is. These people's names are for real, by the way. I think there's 3 in here that donated because their last name is Dingus.
I saw them commenting about it. I was like, that's hilarious.
Janice Welmers passed away. Sorry about that, Andrew. Hang in there, buddy. I think it's his grandma. He's a good kid.
Sucks. Yeah,
Nancy Weaver, Steve Schnell, Sammy Dingus Quigley, Janice Hill, Susanna Platt. Happy Hour checking in from Crossville, Tennessee. Michael Perney, Mr. Fun, Anna Watson, Heavy Metal Bluegrass, Brooke Harper, Jordan Upham, Melissa Kryswicki. What is this? Kryswicki?
Kryswicki? You cry whiskey sometimes.
Jason, I mostly sweat it. Jason Fifield, Davo with no last name. Soraya Saja Dian, Malicious Hat, Julian Manti, Tamara Gallagher, Jeff Green, Sean Museberger, Molly with no last name, Mike Duh, Chase Morgan, Laura Gilchrist, Angela Palmer, Caitlin Wedgwood, Joe Monahan, Amanda Armstrong, Joe Lynn Curran. Happy birthday, Jay Wilkinson. G&H told us to tell you that. Kendrick Rand, call sign Matora. I don't know what that is. Alisdair? I don't know. Call sign? That can't be somebody's
Top Gun?
name. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Like Maverick? Is
that a call sign Matora? Matora, is that a thing?
Hell do I know? Maybe.
Alistair Young, Brittany Worth, and San Bernardino. Thank you, Brittany. Kaylee Greer, Annabelle Mankey, Rebecca True, Gary Donnan, Laurel Matson Bonner, Angelo Alarid, Rachel Hagen, Nicole Aggressor, John Oswald, Colton with no last name, Tara Layton, Christopher Margolin, Gavin, what is this? Locher Reacher. Close enough.
That's great.
Tara Gonzalez, Clay Mahagan, Kay Bear, yes. Karen Drusendahl, Andrea Lest, Kimberly Sullivan, Brandon Gunn, Tyler Wells, Taylor Sabini, John and Annie Trimble, Jesse Skrzykowski, Brandon Self, Laura Albertson, Kristen Halderman, Cassidy Ann Preston Wolf, Zach Harmeyer, D with no last name, Michelle McCauley, Heather Brianna, Amber with no last name, Sharon with no last name, Lucas with no last name, Hillary Roberts, Nick Boyles, Keith Jones, Kat Winchester, Kristen C., Kim with no last name, Matthew Van Landingham, Hanny with no last name, Michael Music, Denise Mestrucci, Dylan and Jimmie, both with no last name. Ben McKee, Suka, Mapine. Are you proud of yourself? Suka Mypine, you son of a bitch.
Very.
Roz,
very nice.
Roz Odell, Heather Cochran, Amanda Conlon, Tasha with no last name, Matt Nicholson, Kraut Creamer.
Kraut Creamer.
That's one.
Fucks German girls.
Bailey Chapman, Jake Yohn, Zara Kodwalla, Benjamin Sarmat. That's a real last name, James.
Probably not the way it's said, maybe.
Probably not.
I would say it's probably
I'll bet I was close. Jesse Beard, Kylie Nolan, Aaron Dalkey, Yuli with no last name, Karina Sieber, Tucker Modler, Laurel Smith, Sylvia Fisher, whatever. Rob Naylor, I hardly know her. Austin Holmes, Colby with no last name, Kathy Moore, Jamie Fuller, Christopher Roberto.
Take my wife, please. I take my wife everywhere, but she finds a way home.
Charlie Drolette, Irving Masvidal, Pam Smith, Lacey Beachy, Robbie Arnold, Daniel Sokolsky, Edwin Snell, Mariah, Elizabeth Barnes, Colby McIntosh, Tom Jump, Grim Mystery Podcast, Kyle McKay, Stephanie DeGizzere. I'm sorry, James.
Sure.
Don't be mad at me. Mark Green, Gayla Ignacio, Jill Cook, Danya Parr, Jordan Stuckey, G. Gao.
Went to see my doctor. They gave me 6 months to live. Told him I couldn't pay the bill. He gave me another 6 months.
Jordan Stuckey, Lauren Flake, John Petrowski, Dylan Meyer. My mom used to say I was ugly. She was so ugly, she gave me a toaster to play with in the bathtub. Johnny Stackhouse, Emily Simonek, Jen Katz, John Gleason, probably Jackie's kid, Alex Below, Marcella with no last name, Cash with no last name, Stephen Vega, Derek Allen, Nathan Gass, Pla Sauce, Dave Gamblin, William Lore Sr., and also Melissa Noor Vera Millie. I think. I don't know. And all of our patrons, you guys do everything for us, and we can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, so much for all that you do. You wonderful, wonderful bastards. Yeah. We do appreciate you very, very much. Thanks for everything you've done all year for us and will continue to do. And we can't wait to see you at live shows. What if people wanted to find you, Jimmie? How can they find you in the wonderful, wonderful world of the internet?
Find me at shutupandgivememurder.com at all the live shows and cities that we're going to be in. Please come to these.
Come to these.
They're so sold out except for the one coming up in Seattle. Get those tickets, clear it out, and let's fucking party.
Let's get it on, man. It's going to be a good time. Yeah. We cannot fucking wait to do that. If you want,
you on that website too?
I think
pictures
we are.
of you are there, right?
I am too. Yeah. Pictures and
Google,
stuff and things.
You can find us on Google.
Just Google the show and you can find it all, man. Just shutupandgivememurder.com has links to everything. You can find it all right there. Keep coming back. Survive Thanksgiving with the family. Don't murder any of them. Remember, no teenage girl raping. There's a lot of rules. Don't do any of that stuff. Skip to B. You know what the rules are. It should
all be common sense.
Common sense rules. That said, have fun and come back next time. And until next week, or until next time, whatever the fuck it is. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. James, it's been our pleasure.
It's been our pleasure. I know what it is.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Wayfair's President's Day clearance is on. Right now through February 18th, get Wayfair's best deal since Black Friday with fast and easy shipping straight to your door. Save up to 70% off now at Wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.